Hello, hello, welcome back one and all to the ESL Apex Legends Premiership powered by Intel. I'm Killer Pigeon and joining me is a familiar face. He was here yesterday and he looks as enthusiastic as ever. It's the one and only Neo. How you feeling about today, Neo?
I'm good, mate. I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, we had some cracking Apex Legends yesterday, right?
Oh,
We had
yes.
a good few games being played out. 4 games yesterday. Now we've got 4 games again today. I'm really looking forward to see how things pan out. And of course, with a bit of time, reflections after yesterday's action, how teams kind of change up their playstyle. Right? We saw a lot of teams who maybe didn't perform as well as we would have expected, or some teams who arguably overperformed, right? How will
Yeah.
teams try and counter that?
That's the interesting thing, right? Like, especially if we've got the consideration of some ALGS pros participating in this event, right? You kind of look at like, well, they're the obvious front runners. Well, you got to think about team dynamics. A, are they playing with their full roster? B, when was the last time they really popped off? And C, other small details that matter can be the format, right? Because we're doing something a little bit different from ALGS. Of course, all our maps are going to simply be on World's Edge, whereas some teams are known for grasping a lot of points off of Storm Point specifically, or maybe you look towards those LAN environments where it's actually about a match point scenario, which is completely different to what we do here.
Precisely. And will that make a difference, right? It's all on words. Even towards yesterday, right? We saw a lot of teams, or the vast majority of teams, to be perfectly honest, just go for the same landing spots every single time, playing the exact same playstyle every single time. Very, very rarely changing up composition. I know we'll kind of bring it up later on, but we had Valkyrie was picked like over 30% of the time. I mean, when you're seeing kind of very little changes across the board, is that going to work in favor of some of the quote unquote more experienced teams? Will UTFT really step up aside who, I was starting to make fairly decent waves in the kind of the tier 2, tier 3 space, right? Starting to climb the ranks a little bit. They kind of, shone above the rest because they were against familiar compositions. And if they know how to play it, they also know how to counter it.
Yeah, it's interesting how you pivot towards different choices when the format is different and also the landscape of players are different. No offense to the people participating, but there are going to be those teams that maybe are expected to just be point sponges for other pro level teams, right? And that means that heroes like the Valkyrie come to mind as a more desirable pick because, well, A, when you rotate, they might not actually hit the most crispy of Shroud like shots to knock you out of the air. And B, you want blood, right? We've seen games where people won't finish in the top 3, but they got so many kill points, they'll finish the day at the top of the leaderboard anyway.
That's it, exactly that. Well, I think the perfect thing to start off our IRC refresh is to look at those character selects from yesterday, see where the vast majority of the legends were picked up. As you mentioned, Valkyrie, 34%. That's pretty considerable, to be perfectly honest. Not exactly, I expected it to be, entertaining us a little bit. Not 34% of the time. Seer coming in at second place as well, 17%. Great to see him being used, especially since that's what I use. So it's good to see that the people. Watson was very, very common. That perimeter defense seemed to be a pretty standard meta across the board for a lot of teams, especially teams like the Franco Brits, who are very passive in their play style, to pick up a lot of those points just off the back of leaderboard positions, right? So good to see that coming through. And Horizon as well, 16.3%. It's very top heavy.
Yeah, the interesting thing about Horizon that I love to see up here is Horizon is a legend that's actually been desired by teams that want to play aggressive. This is actually one of the best contesters for landing because of her passive that allows her to recover from the initial landing quicker. It means you can beat someone to a box, grab a gun, and then middle finger them on their way to the afterlife, right? It's just a beautiful little combo to open up a game with. And there's no doubt the black hole has become an infuriating experience for people at every level of play in the last few months.
She was used so much yesterday. That black hole was a real problem time and time again, especially when we got towards kind of those last few zones. That was where we really saw the black hole just be an absolute nuisance more than anything. I'm interested to see if at all things will change coming towards today, right? Because we now have a pretty good understanding. Valkyrie, very top heavy. Seer and Horizon, not too far behind, right? Do teams try their best to try and counter this composition as they sort of expect it off the back of yesterday's performances? I really don't know.
Yeah, well, the interesting part is like the Valkyrie. I mentioned part of it is the level of play and what you're looking to do with this hero, and also with the format in terms of grab and kill points. But another part seems to be EMEA loves this hero still, right? They haven't really moved away from it. Other regions have fully diversified. If you look at the LGS level, you don't really know what a team's going to come out with. In fact, we mentioned the Seer, second most picked, I believe it was. Actually, when you look at a bunch of other regions, it seems like APAC has caught on. Crypto seems to be the desirable go-to scan type hero now.
Yeah, I mean, crypto. We saw a couple of teams flex crypto in yesterday, and it was actually a couple more of the experienced players, I want to call them, a couple of the guys who have competed within those ALGS qualifiers, a couple of guys who have maybe gone to a few lands. Right, it was those ones who are picking up that crypto, and we mentioned occasionally whether a drone will be a real problem. We didn't really get to see too much of crypto though, unfortunately, because he dropped out so early. A lot of those team compositions meant that they were just pushed, and the kind of aggressive nature that the likes of an Horizon can bring to the table really meant that the crypto got punished quite a lot. So I'm interested to see whether now they go for a slightly different composition to maybe incorporate crypto a little bit more. A thing that makes me sad, I know maybe not so much meta anymore, but Bloodhound, I do miss
Oh, come on.
Bloodhound. I love me some Bloodhound, always have. From season one, I've been, I adapted, right? I went from Bloodhound to Seer. I mean, I've stuck in my region, but I gotta say, I expect at least one or two Bloodhound picks.
Yeah, you kind of went from underrepresented to, oh, I can't believe you picked that, right? The Seer kind of.
Yeah.
I'm more like, I think Ash is probably my most played at the moment.
Sure.
Which is terrible in a pub format, folks. The whole idea of send it only works if everyone wants to send it together. I think we
Agreed.
really haven't seen much of Ash Evo, which to me isn't the biggest of surprise. I feel like Storm Point's a little bit better for her than World's Edge. One thing to keep in mind is we might see more of the crypto if those picks switch elsewhere, as you kind of alluded to. Things like Gibby start to come out. All of a sudden, the EMP is that X factor that stops that reset. But when you look at those top picks right now, EMP isn't going to do anything to a Valk team. It's going to do limited things to a Seer team as well.
Very, very true. I'm very interested, right? And I've got to see as well how teams just generally kind of adapt their play style. I spoke about the Franco Brits, and they're probably a pretty good side to mention as well because they were number one coming through qualifiers. They won 3 out of 4 games. And when you consider the teams that were competing there, Vic's Gaming were playing, and Eco with them were farming as well. Both of them finished the qualifiers 33 kills across 4 matches. So, pretty decent in terms of the kill front, to be perfectly honest. But the Franco Brits only sitting quite quiet on 20. But the way in which they got a lot of points, they got 65 points at the back of 4 games, was just off winning the games. All they do, and we saw it a lot yesterday, was they play super, super passive. They just weigh out the zones. And I think it's actually quite a smart tactic in terms of longevity, consistency across the board, and just racking up points. However, teams like Murky, who ended up being top after yesterday, the reason why they ended up being top is because not only did they only won 1 out of 4 games, but they got a damn lot of kills.
Yeah, they're the hunter killers. And that's kind of the interesting thing. You've got these players that are playing at the LGS level. They're used to that experience of maybe playing it slow, but being very strategic about your rotations. But it's those classic issues. If you ever played a game that requires any type of skill shot and you're like predicting, you're figuring it out, you're like, there, I'm going to shoot there. And at the last moment, the person just stops in the open. You're like,
yes.
What are you doing right? That's the skill difference. What you're used to may not appear in this tournament at all times.
Yeah, exactly. We did see Octane come through a little bit as well. I know a couple of teams yesterday were just using Octane in terms of just trying to survive out the zone, right? Just trying to hightail it. The second is conflict. The second is a fight. Get out of it. And I like that understanding in terms of, just trying to rack up some points by surviving as long as possible, hoping someone comes in the third parties and just saves you. However, I think as a play style, that won't last. I mean, there's no way that can be a long-term way to get points on the board. Maybe for the first couple of weeks, just to eye out your opponents, and just see how that'll play out. But in the grand scheme, I don't think that'll be something we see coming in towards today. One thing that does interest me, though, and we were kind of in this conversation before going live today, is whether drops change. Now, we saw,
Yeah.
For example, UTFT, who ended up doing very, very well yesterday, they got more or less Trials and Skyhook for free. Nobody contested them. Nobody even wanted to, tempt fate over there. But I think we saw once Eco have a little rotation through Skyhook, and then there was a fight there where Eco just hightailed it. They realized it was UTFT and they wanted nothing to do with it. But in the grand scheme, the fact that we're seeing, some of these bigger names getting a lot of loot early doors for free, and then we're seeing, the high contest areas being like Big Maud, for example, where it's kind of 2 of the lower ranked teams just plugging it out, see if they can drop the other, right? Do things change now? Now they've got a pretty good understanding about where everybody's dropping and how consistent they're dropping there. Do we see challenges towards the top?
Yeah, the interesting thing to think about this, and I've been down this road before, they'll change, right? Like I remember when I was working in Stockholm, one of my big kind of philosophies on how I want to approach some target segments is let's look at map drops. Let's look at how stories change. It never changed. It rarely ever changed. Like maybe one team went somewhere else across 3 different games. It's kind of wacky how ingrained it is. And I think also that the LGS pros that are playing in this will be more ingrained in that attitude, right? We know this area well. We know how to rotate out of it. And unless someone is already initially challenging them because that was their drop point as well, It's very rare that you see people switch up because although we look at the game, you know, I'm just like W key, left mouse button, ooh, full monkey mode, right?
Exactly.
These guys aren't thinking that way. They're thinking on deeper layer. They kind of understand if they drop fragment west, what's the probability they get rotated on from epicenter? What's their chances of closing out to south side through harvester? They've thought out these scenarios through so many permutations.
Yeah, absolutely spot on. I really do wonder whether anything changes. But as you mentioned, right, I don't think it will, especially not at the top level. Maybe some of the kind of, I want to say, quote-unquote, lower-ranked teams, the guys who struggled a little bit yesterday, maybe we see a couple of those really try and push the agenda, right? You know, we've got 19 teams competing for 16 spaces in towards the playoffs. And just a kind of reminder of how this is all going to work. As I mentioned, 16 teams will qualify towards the playoffs. It's 19 teams starting out. We've got 4 weeks of groups. Then we go towards playoffs. It's a £5,000 prize pool. So there's a fairly decent chunk of cash on the line, especially kind of on the more domestic UK and Irish level. So we absolutely take that. And as there is only limited spaces, maybe some of those, I want to call them fringe teams, maybe sides who maybe are, you know, potentially might not be able to make it all the way towards the top 16 or right on the cusp of it. Do they go a little bit more aggressive and just try and cause an upset at the top?
Man, maybe the Chads just kind of like, we'll throw £50 at you if you take on Team 2, right? I want all you guys to send it. Every single kill on second place team, £50 ahead. Go for it, boys. I mean, you'll give up half your prize pool by the end, but if it secures the big bag, I don't know if that's in the rules. Maybe admin could check for us. But
definitely not. I can see many conflicts of interest arising there, but I like the spirit, and that's what we like to see. It's ingenuity on a different sort of level, right? I like to see it. But yeah, I mean, those are one of those things, right? I know, like we mentioned UTFT dropped a lot over towards Trials, and they got that for free. Is that going to be problematic going forward? Potentially, because they get so much loot early doors, which is why they were so successful. Do we see teams maybe try and pressure them over there, maybe drop into a Skyhook and allow them to have Trials, but then you get all the loot from Skyhook? Essentially, is there going to be changes? We do hope so, right? Because if you saw look towards yesterday, Murky and UTFT, they were significantly above the rest of the pack. I mean, quite considerably in terms of the points, right? They were farming their way ahead, and that really does become a bit of an issue. But without further ado, we are ready to get in towards game number 1 of Playday number 2. Are you excited?
Oh, I'm thrilled. I'm looking for the kills. World's Edge feels good to be back casting some on this beautiful map. It's been around for so long, so many iterations, and yet still it manages to plow through. In fact, I think it's been the most consistent map played at the competitive level. Not even close either. I think Olympus maybe had a short stint, but never really caught on. Storm Point, of course, is a kind of more recent addition, but looks like we might get some blood to open up this one. I'm noticing a lot of people moving towards Countdown, and you did mention UTFT, they get Trials for free, but not just Trials. Look at that spread. 2 fat zones just for them.
They know, they fully understand now that they are getting UTFT are getting Trials and Skyhook for free, and this is going to allow them to play super spaced out. Normally, this would be such a problem, right? When you're that isolated, it allows teams just to play the numbers game. But the fact that they get it for free, I'm more than happy to. And already seen opening kills. Joe Bear will kickstart things. Predator of the West. Penalty to 4.
You mentioned Mal was going to be a point of contention. I believe there's even some action over towards Thermal Station as well. But staying on board with this, it's one of those situations. Do you cut and run? Do they even have the guns to fight up against this? One member down, and it looks like no one is low on Preds of West. So probably just a reset, run away, and look to reclaim later.
They are still sort of being contested through the door. Loot
It's
boxes
so
have been
hard,
opened. Yeah. It's actually
Okay,
it's 2 of the same teams. It's Cat Jam again over towards Big Mall. They love this area.
And he's got purple shield, so maybe he thinks that he's a little bit confident he can do this. They're only whites. Maybe I've got an opportunity, but Mozambique, maybe not the most enthusiastic of weapons to open up with. They have got a Mastiff, though, so if they play CQ, they could flip the script here, turn around onto the Mirage, takes him out, X-side, slides away just in time. We'll be able to heal. Now, Player is contesting up front against 2. Mozambique, a little bit of panic setting in here, has to retreat away. And he won't get out alive, so he's down. It's all on X-side to recover this.
That's unfortunate as well. Has dropped the shield, but so got a little bit of armor to work with, but it's not exactly looking fantastic. Massive 88 damage, huge amount of damage dealt, but X-side, he is struggling.
I mean, they haven't got the best guns to contend on the door like that. They need to get mid-range. If they play towards the revive spot here, it might be their undoing. But it seems like a snooping's coming out from Kiranuzi, just making sure he gives the info before getting rezzed here. And the Mastiff is still a big threat, but considering it's 2-on-1, as long as they don't play too loose, it should be clean for them, and it will. They do find the final kill. They will be the Predators in the East this time, as opposed to what their name says.
9 squads remaining now, inside of the top 10. Cat Jam eliminated. Already Very aggressive. What a fight was big more. And that was a lot of loot for Predator West to work with. I mean, that really does help. And actually to mention as well, it's a different drop zone for Predator West. Yesterday, they weren't dropping here. You know, we kind of saw Catjam most of the time get this for free. They were occasionally tested elsewhere. But for the most part, they were getting kind of big more in a couple of fights with some of the lower ranked sides. And I think Predator West have looked back at the VODs from yesterday and realized that it is two of the quote-unquote lesser ranked sides dropping here. We can probably beat them in Angels, and they've done exactly that. Credit to them.
Yeah, and the deceptive part is when you look at that spread on the map, you would not expect us to be down to 9 teams already, right? I was expecting maybe 13 by the time we finish that duel, but shows you how quickly things can flip and the attention over on Thermal Station here. This is a bit of a baity area to go for a freeway fight in. You can see that none of them are near the zones. They need to make a run for it. Luckily, Murky do, of course, have that Valk. As we mentioned, most picked hero so far here in Prem League.
And to be honest, seems to be consistent. We saw it as well for Predator West, and seems like Valk is still unbelievably popular. Now, Murky, they are coming in as #1 off the back of yesterday. They had an unbelievable performance. I'm looking for more of the same.
The spray coming up. Gonna have to take time to reset here. I think their third team did back off the moment, so they maybe get the one-on-one, but a little bit hesitant. They need to worry about a potential backstab. Might be they just go for the upward dive and try to move away from this, but they need to crack a few. Maybe get a drop before they can make that escape. Black Hole is going to be thrown in. Be a whiff, though. Exhibition does go down, so they'll see them coming, but it looks like they want to back up themselves. Not much cover to work with in this area.
Yeah, not exactly looking pretty right now. Kinder was one of the most dominant performers yesterday in terms of the fragging department. Looking to see if more of the same can come out for them. At range, with the spray coming through, not going to find too much success. And Marsh Kargate, thankfully, just going to fall away from that fight. Shield back up, get that purple armor refilled, and then maybe back in the action to support. I mean, they can just lock out rotations too.
I mean, they're locked in right now, though. You see how close their opponents are on the top side. Scan's going to come out. Will connect. The micro drones are showing everything right now. They might just go for a push here. They notice their opponents are a little bit split, but the problem is the pressure's coming in from multiple angles. This is not an easy one to crack, and Franco Brits are not going to give anything for free.
Yeah, this is horrible. I mean, this is a really unfortunate situation for them. Franco Brits, they were #1 in qualifying, racking up unbelievable points, and they were normally quite passive. This time, they're playing super aggressive.
They're a little bit thirsty for the kills, and you see their opponents want no part of it. Murky are going to cut and run to the west side. So instead, Franco Brits, their priority will be getting in ring and making sure they're not locked out by another team. Seeing the sprays come in from the high ground, looks like they are going to have a fight ahead of them. Best thing they can try to do is rear to the right side so they don't end up being the meat in the sandwich. But in the meantime, we're going to check in with UTFT, who are on the hunt. They see a Newcastle out in the open. Doesn't get an opportunity to walk a dog, doesn't have a dog to walk. He's the last one standing. Augulus are going to remain that if they go out this early.
Oh, that was brutal. UTFT, they play the numbers game. So easy to do so as well. Look at the loot that they're rocking as well. We mentioned about how UTFT, they just start as such a natural advantage in terms of getting Trials and Skyhook for free means they are going to be swimming in loot. And they're exactly that. They're looking very comfortable right now and actually looking to be a little bit more aggressive already.
And it looks like they might have more scalps to claim at this rate, considering where the teams are rotating. Because if DC pushes the other team north here, it's going to be a perfect pinch location. UTFT are holding onto that high ground for good reason, considering the zones are pushing towards them.
Seen so much as well how Horizon's becoming a little bit of a problem and very difficult for teams to deal with. I mean, just on the fact that that gravity lift is such an awkward thing to try and combat against. For now, though, bit of Watson utility allows them to rotate.
I mean, it used to be more ridiculous. I remember they had nerfed it because the wiggling at the top was almost impossible to connect with unless you had aim assist on your side. But it's like there's going to be a soft reset here. Dream Chasers with an incredibly defensive comp. You can see what their priority is. They want to try to get a dive towards a defendable location. But this is the worrisome detail when you go for this type of comp. If you're far out of ring, you're far away from being in your comfort zone.
Yeah, and this is exactly where Dream Chasers are. I mean, they are stuck between a rock and a hard place. Rotating over towards the zone is going to be so difficult for them. And with it pressed against their back, I mean, they are really in such an awkward position trying to escape here. I mean, how do they want to play this? Potentially even just waiting, hoping for a third party to go and help them.
Yeah, it's like you could dive, but where are you diving to here? Are you going to gamble going across to Countdown, hoping no one's there? Do you go further north towards Trials, where there's no clear ground you can hide behind?
True.
And now this is the worry, right? Sprays could come on the backside at any moment. It looks like in the meantime that the teams behind them are going to be distracted by each other as we do check in on staging.
Well, For now, Franco Brits, they're a side that I've always want to keep in my mind. I mean, obviously we mentioned this so well in qualifying, but it actually wasn't the dream performance for them yesterday. I mean, you know, coming in towards today's action, they're in 6th place. They didn't have, you know, the most fantastic of showings, but, you know, I guess still good. A top 10 we take, right? It gets you qualification towards the 5 finals, which is what matters most. But for Franco Brits, from coming on, you know, being the ones to watch in a sense, and then, you know, slightly underperforming yesterday, it does make me question if they're going to change anything in towards today. And already, it looks like aggression seems to be at the forefront of their mind.
That's what I was about to hit on. It seems like they have changed the script a little here, right? You can consider where they're at and how they're not prioritizing ring. They're clearly trying to play gatekeeper. Usually, if teams were focused on just placement, they'd take this Valkyrie, they'd rotate for a good position ahead of time. It seems like instead, Franco Brits are trying to get a few picks and then late rotate off the back of the Sky.
I like it. I really do like it. I like when we see teams obviously spend a lot of time, you know, post yesterday's action, you know, even this morning as well, trying to devise a plan that's going to find them more success coming towards day 2. You know, you've got to be adaptable. Adaptation finds success, and that's what we're seeing Franco Brits do, exactly that. You know, a very similar comp to what they were rocking yesterday. The only difference is maybe they occasionally brought out the Jibby instead of the Seer, but in the grand scheme, pretty similar, all things considered. So I like that they haven't adapted the Legend Select. It's their playstyle, which is hopefully should help them.
Yeah, and keep in mind that Gibby is going to remain really strong if teams continue to neglect the crypto. Not really a great counter outside that to deal with that specific Legends. Probably are going to see more of it in the coming weeks. In the meantime, we're going to see more Murky contesting around staging still. Although one team left, one did take its place, but both do need to get moving soon. 40 seconds until Ring 2 begins to close. You got to make a choice now. Do we push or do we retreat? And with players in the open like that, you might look to push here. However, Horizon is a pesky one to lock down.
Oh, yeah, Kinder. I mean, he was brutal yesterday. Kill bleed in 2 out of 4 games. I mean, he had a pretty cracking performance on an individual level. And then, of course, we know what Jay will say we can do with a sniper in his hands too. So, I've got to say, this side really do scare me. And they've got a pretty decent position. They are playing, you know, hugging the ring a little bit, catching people on rotate. But they themselves need to be careful that they're not caught.
Yeah, it looks like the other team's going to rotate out just in time. If they waited any longer, they would have got locked out. Probably wouldn't have made tunnel in time. Instead, they're going to cut and run their separate ways, and it means Murky also get to move in without expending the Skyward Dive here. However, they might still need to use it when they reach around Lava Fissure, because we did notice teams were locked in that area earlier. And still are.
Yeah, exactly that. Exactly that. Jay will slay Marsh Kage, Kinder. The Murky side.
Played and spotted.
Yeah, this might get a little bit dicey for them, I can't lie. And look where we're starting to set up. Like UTFT right in the heart of that zone. There's a lot of bodies around them.
They're rotating ahead of them. This is incredibly aggressive on the landing here. We're about to get a contest. And remember, the team they're up against are full defensive. I believe that's the Gibby, Watson, and Valk team. So they're going to be locked in. It won't be an easy place to take unless they're on the low ground like this.
Oh no, this is horrible.
I mean, they're there for the pickings. That's one down already. Exhibit's going to be dropped as well. They ping it out. They know exactly where they are. It's not going to be a free rotation through at all. Murky are going to play Gatekeeper, but they're running out of time. Ring is coming in, so they need to clean up what they started fast here. In fact, they're going to play it outside his zone. They see the Skyward Lift coming out, so 2 looking to retreat. Sprays are going to be somewhat successful at cracking, but no kills are going to be going their way. They'll have to settle for the 1.
Information plays, right? I mean, we already mentioned about Kinder on an individual level really stepping up in terms of the fragging department. This time, they have to play zone. I mean, granted, luckily for them, they're right on the edge of it. But I think, you know, it's safe to say that for, well, Murky were pretty dominant yesterday. They haven't really got the best of positions. They themselves need to be careful. Look at UTFT. High ground, gold armor, purple across the rest of the board. They are really in quite a strong position. You got rotations coming through onto their position, but the way they're parked up, I think they're going to be pretty okay.
I mean, yeah, you kept asking, is anyone going to contest them? Apparently not. And in the situation, we open the day with them actually just getting essentially close to God spot here. You can see the final ring isn't going to be the perfect location for them, so they may want to look to rotate. But remember, they have got Ginny on that Valk, so they can easily just fly through the sky at any given time. But it looks like flying to the afterlife. We are going to move in and only see Franco Brits with 1 left alive. JC trying to go for the Resi. Might be able to recover this because it looks like they're not going to be pushed. They did eliminate Murky. They will get time to reset.
Number 1 side from yesterday, by the way. 62 points they found yesterday, winning 2 out of the 4 games. And they're eliminated at 8th place. What a change up. And that's, of course, off the back of the change up in playstyle from Franco Brits. We said if they go more aggressive in terms of their composition, in terms of their playstyle, it will find them more success compared to what we saw as well in the qualifiers. And they stepped up. They've dropped the #1 side coming towards today. That is already a huge upset to kickstart today's action.
And I think, Murky, they were kind of hoping to claim more heads before going out themselves, but it feels like they were doing more running than gunning in this game, right? The ring has been on the opposite side of the map from the start, and they haven't had great favorable positions to take trades.
For sure.
Just feels like one of those situations. Sometimes you have to reassess. Sure, you want all these kills because of different skill levels in the lobbies, but you can see how valuable prioritizing ring can be here, as DC and UTFT are really set up to dictate the end of this map.
That'd be the Vector, just going to fall away. Mythic had a fairly decent time yesterday. Not looking too good for Vash here. Will he survive just about by the finest of margins?
Yeah, and it's hard for them to now push because they don't know where the other two teammates are. They're going to settle for the location they've got, but they have to feel uncomfortable this long term. They don't know if someone's coming in behind them. And it looks like Denise is not going to wait around. Mythic on the move again. They've got the scan. They know exactly where one is. And they know it's one. It might just be a solo in their eyes. Seer is cracked and brought low, and Denise in a perfect location to rotate around now. Missile swarm to pressure them. They get their shield off, but they insta go down. Preds of the West will go out.
Down to 6 squads, just shy of the top 5. Good amount of loot for Mythic to pick up as well. Teddy looking pretty comfortable on that Seer. Red armor for him. In the grand scheme of things, now we'll go quiet on the western front a little bit. I don't think there'll be too much action until that ring closes in. 20 seconds left on that timer. And then things start getting hot again. And of course, we know who's going to be the real problem here. That's UTFT side.
Yeah, and you mentioned...
I've just shot one.
Oh, there we go. That's going to be a problem. Alec, he was rotating in. Okay, so it's not Dream Chasers. Dream Chasers can still be the nightmare for UTFT on top when they have to rotate out of this. So that's something to keep an eye out for. It looks like we have still got a contest on the edge of the ring here. One was dropped, so it's a 2-on-3 in this situation. The exhibit makes it almost impossible to push. Looks like one is going to be down. Franco Brits need to reset and get clone back up. They've got a little bit of time before the push comes in. With the cover coming in from Ajax, that should be enough to get their third up.
Thankfully, clone back in the conversation. They have been detectives. Even rotating out of this is going to be horrible for the Franco Brits. They want to at least guarantee themselves top 5. Get the wealth of the points coming through. They themselves got info to work with, need to heal up before they can even attempt a re-aggression.
Yeah, and they really want to push west. I think if they push east here, it's too much open ground. UTFT will have freer shots, so maybe it's just worth walking away from this and using the other team as bait to get a better position. But instead, they choose to send it. They're like, we're not sure if we'll get a better pulse out of this, so we might as well get some kills.
Left bit of a fight coming through. Nice beam, in fact. JC, though, down to just shy of being out of no armor. Phoenix Kit will come online. Needs to get back to full HP once they can refight. Thankfully, Clone will allow him to do so.
I like this retreat as well, coming out from the other team. They're going to go through the buildings. They're going to cycle around just in time, so they won't be too pressured by the ring. They'll get location to make a move, but for the time being, Franco, they need to go. 30 seconds, tick-tock goes the timer, and because you just looted, UTFT should now know to check west side.
Yeah, below them is going to be a bit of an issue. UTFT, again, we've mentioned about how the high ground can be such an advantage for them.
What? When did they get this?
When did they get a Kraber?
What?
Pop shot will come through, but, won't find its target. I think teams will now be extremely scared for damn good reason. There's a Kraber online. He's got to opt not to use it. Just going to go for the R301 Eva 8 combo.
Wait, so Lifeline has been cycling. That's 4 drops from her, some 4 care packages, and they got 1 natural as well. Like, what is this drop point right now? Working out perfect for Mythic in the meantime, looking to cycle through a few more kills. They're going to force the pressure on. Thermite's going to let them know exactly where their opponents are. Exhibit is also going to get the follow-up info. You need to be careful not to fall for better position here long-term, though. So make it quick, make it snappy, or back away before it comes crappy.
I like that. I'm going to add that to the repertoire. Laser beam coming through. Cracked armor as well. Fantastic for Mythic. This aggression working really well for them. The question is, can they guarantee the kill? Low and down to 4 Mogs. Down out for the cow. Cracking spray there. This is coming from Matic, the third party.
Yep, so there's the third party we're waiting for. They lost the high ground in the center here, so while they did get kills, they needed to make this move. They don't necessarily have the truest of god spots right now. Someone else has a higher point on them, but they at least have more saturation to hide behind with this building. They still know there's one behind. So they have to keep looking back there. They're spread 2 ways. Looks like Jets Esports is going to go out in 6. 5 squads remaining here. They really need a third party to trigger off here to relieve the pressure away from them so they can maybe make a move and secure their flank.
Yeah, that focus of attention, just trying to spot out if there's a third party rotating in through the zone. I've got the information. It's just a question of where's the rotation come from? I've got to say, Mythic are in a very strong position. They've got the kind of the leverage in terms of height on one side, and of course, they got some security too. They're in a pretty strong position in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, they're not being greedy is what I love to see, right? They're not overextending, like, oh, just one more kill. Yeah, we need one more kill.
Exactly.
They're not letting that overwhelm them, as they shouldn't.
No surprises, Franco Brits in that top 5 as well. Questions, how do they want to play this? They themselves in a pretty strong position in the grand scheme. They know as well with the zones to their back, the likelihood of a third party is pretty minimal. Okay. And they more just have to be scared of UTFT on that high ground, where they've been parked up for what seems to be about the last 10 minutes.
I'm sorry, are they trying to roleplay Skyrim horses here? It just feels like they're trying to go up an incline they shouldn't, right? Yeah. They're pretty far up there. They're finally going to make the rotation out, but this is dangerous. Considering that we've got Mythic and Franco Brits left in, we know these guys can hit shots, so you might not land for free here. There might be a price paid in blood.
This can become very, very dicey indeed, as you mentioned. Either way, Skyward Dive will come on alive. It's information gathering, which is huge, but they're surely going to get peppered from range.
Where do you go? In fact, the timing might work out perfectly for them to be a one-on-one on each side here. They're going to rotate straight to Franco Brits, but they're going to get poked in the backside by Mythic. They need to get a kill, and they need to be fast about it, but instead they are going to get killed. Zidia gets taken down. GX is going to join him on the floor, and Tax is all on him to recover this, but I don't know if he can. Franco Brits is going to lose one, but with two still standing, they should be able to claim this spot and claim some big kills alongside it.
Bad.
First of two.
They can't get the recon as well. Surely not. Not in this space. Looking for more. I mean, JC's got the information. Didn't want to go aggro. Yes, they are.
They get it.
They're going to find the kill. UTFT down and out for the count. Number 2 coming in off the back of yesterday. No longer in contention for a top 3 spot. And the kill leader as well. Not exactly looking bad for Franco Brits. They are hunting for points today.
Burgers goes out as well, right? So it's now a top 3 situation. Mythic are still in the running though, and they are looking strong and dominant with their position, especially the way this ring is going to close. Both teams are going to have to reveal at a similar timing, but because they took the compound, Mythic have all these small static objects to hide behind as they run towards the center.
Top 3 now. I mean, at the moment, I'd still say that Mythic's positioning is looking very, very good for them. Hang on a second.
What are you doing here?
Dicey.
Whoa. You haven't been paying your input tax on this trailer here. We can't let you have this real estate for free. They're going to look to cause some anarchy. Exhibit's going to go down. Gibby is spotted in the corner. Spray comes out, just keeping the pressure on him. Notice that Mythic are fishing for kills, but not fully committing here. They're fully aware of the threat that lies beyond.
I love this as well. I mean, Mythic are just being a nuisance. That's literally all they're doing. Teddy is just annoying them. It's as simple as that. They are getting peppered from inside of the vehicle. Surely not long for the world. But the question is, does the third party cause a problem? And here it comes.
Yeah, they have to come over that edge, over the top there, and as soon as they do, they're going to get clipped on the way in. So difficult rotation. Franco Brits are going to rotate west side. Spray comes out, but still they need to gain some ground here. Maybe kind of lock up that fence side so there's no easy push coming out from Mythic, because it is just the 2 teams remaining. Exhibit is going to go down. Notice they're stacked on that corner. This could get dangerous. One Arcstar could break them here, and Sneaky Boy Clone. He doesn't have a backup clone here, but he won't need it with a gold spot like this. Sprays him in the backside. Won't overextend though. Needs to get more done. Needs to push them out here on low health. His team is getting ready to rotate in. AJ is going to meet them as they run around. Looks like they're getting 1, 2 down, and it's 1 left. Easy cleanup for Franco Brits.
Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the ESL Premiership powered by Intel. Now, we have just finished game number 1 of day 2. It's the Franco-British Union who take that one. They're reliving some of their former glory from the qualifiers where they were undoubtedly the best team who stood up to the day. So, great to see from them. They were fantastic.
Yeah, they're looking hot right now. I love the fact that they took those early aggressive fights, which enabled them to get great loot as well. Like, you saw the fact they were all readied up, ready to fight constantly. Their rotations in allowed them to actually supplement their supplies, get a lot of shield bats. You know, sometimes you see a team kind of take all these early battles, they don't close out kills quick enough, and they arrive in these late game situations with scraps, because if you don't kill someone fast enough, all that ammo, all those meds, they're going to have used them by the time you loot.
No, exactly that. I mean, for Franco-British Union, I think that you've hit the absolute nail on the head there for them. It was, a change up in terms of the playstyle, right? That was what we saw yesterday. That, in a way, actually kind of worried us. I mean, they really did a step up to the plate yesterday. I think they finished 6th overall after the back of those first 4 games. It wasn't exactly a dream performance from them, but today they stepped it up in terms of the tempo. They've been a lot more on that kind of aggressive forefront, and it led them to a whole host of points. Wow. 24 points, 12 kills as well. They had a field day out there. Mythic coming in with 2nd place, 13 points to them, 4 kills. I mean, just the kills alone puts them just 1 point behind Mythic.
And it's really impressive when you consider this isn't a full lobby either, right? Like, you can see Team Void, IG International, for example, are not included there. So, like, their options are more limited, yet they've still claimed, I'd say, how many teams did we have? They must have claimed almost a third of the lobby, I want to say.
Yeah, I mean, we were, 11 teams, 3 apiece, 33s.
Wow.
I mean, your fairness, they've had a pretty decent day. I've got to give Franco-British Union the credit there. We were kind of saying about how UTFT were going to be a bit of a thorn in the side for a lot of teams, especially the fact that UTFT, as we mentioned prior, get trials, get Skyhook for free, are able to loot up and rotate. And the fact that the zone was basically just outside of trials, I mean, UTFT from the get-go had the better positioning, the better loot, everything was in their advantage. But Franco-British Union, their playstyle really worked in their favor.
Yeah, you should just keep going on the list. Like, yep, they get trials, loads of loot there. They get 2 locations themselves, God spot, ring rotation, and a natural Kraber drop right on top of their spot.
Oh
like,
my God.
I could not believe that. It's like, if these guys win this, someone is going to make accusations that their dad works at Respawn, because something has happened here.
And the fact that they didn't even opt to use the Kraber as well, they dropped it for an Eva 8. I just love it. You really do love to see it. Had the high ground, had the Kraber, and we're like, nah, we're going to go for the Eva 8 R301 combo. Fair play. Didn't actually end up working out for them. UTFT, who were one of the stronger performing sides yesterday, only finishing 4th. Murky, who were the best side yesterday, comfortably, winning 2 out of 4 games. They dropped out in 9th. I mean, it was not the greatest start to the day for them. When you consider as well that it was yesterday's action, from the get-go, they were on top.
Yeah, and let's consider that happened, right, because they got blocked out of one of the final contenders there, so it's kind of unfortunate on the rotations. The crazy part is, you said we only had 11 teams, but it felt like they were all on the left side of the map, right? Agreed, it felt like everyone started in an L shape, and then they rotated through in order to kill each other in pecking order. It was quite beautiful to watch. I don't even know if anyone bothered to loot Fragment by the end of that.
What's the need, right? Who knows? Well, let's get ready in towards game 2. But before we do, we're going to throw this on to a quick break. When we are back, game number 2 of day 2 on the way.
Just a short break, enough time to refill your popcorn and lay back to enjoy some succulent Apex Legends. That's right, welcome back, folks. We just saw game number 1 going the way of the Franco-Brit Union. Curious to see if we're going to get a rinse or repeat here. I'm curious to see if aggression is going to be the way to go. Maybe UTFT specifically takes a note out of Franco's book and moves around the map a little bit more in game number 2.
We'll have to wait and see, right? I think for me, there's going to be a big call on the other big shots from yesterday, like your Murkies, who dropped out really early doors, like UTFTs, who didn't even get towards top 3. I mean, those were two of the heavy hitters by a long shot towards yesterday's action. And they struggled in Zor's game number 1 of day 2, right? So the question for me is, how do those guys react off the back of, a poor opening performance? But, it's all about consistency. And that's the big thing we were kind of driving home yesterday. And the big thing you drive when it comes to these sort of point systems, consistency is key. That's why the Franco Brits did so well in terms of the qualifiers, because they just guaranteed they won 3 out of 4 games in qualifiers. But they didn't even get that many kills. It's just about staying alive to the last moments. So, some of these sides are very aggressive in nature. Murky, prime example, right? They're so aggressive. They hunt for the frags, but it bit them in the arse because they dropped out in 9th place.
Yeah, it's a kind of a conundrum when you come up against the final boss in the first level, right? Like, it's almost like you're playing Dark Souls at that point. Not a good feeling. So maybe kind of just try to get a little bit active, but have an idea of where you want to rotate. It's something we talked about, the strategic layer that exists in Apex Legends that makes it so phenomenal, right? Is you get the info about the rings. Most teams will run a recon hero as well, so they can get forward info on where the ring's going to move after that. And even if you don't have that info, I've talked to pros, right? The rings to them, a lot of the times are fairly predictable, actually, once you get a feel for it.
Yeah, no, exactly that. Well, round number 2 on the way. Do UTFT? Yeah, no, they do. Okay.
They have to move this time. It's not coming to them this time, Neo, all right?
Yeah, there we go. Thankfully, right? But I mean, at the same time, they still get Trials and Skyhook absolutely for free. I mean, you can see potentially there could be a rotation coming up in that direction, but in the grand scheme, probably won't happen.
I think it's happening again. I think we're heading to Big Mord for a little bit of a showdown.
We love it. We love it.
Are they keeping score between them each round, right? They just get in the lobby like, well, we won that one, 1-1 apiece, 2-1. See how we finish the day.
Well, I mean, Prince of the West won this one out against Catjam in towards game number 1 of the day. The question is, will they get it the same here? At least they've kind of stuck to their guns in terms of, they've now committed. We are going to battle it out for Big Mord. And I love to see it. The question is, do they come out on top again? Nice ding coming through.
That's half his health as well. He's only got a 50 shield, but it's to return right the way of Joe Bear here. Needs to find a good spot to heal on the high ground, but being pushed forward. They need to clean up the kill for them, but instead they're getting cleaned up. Kinozu is going to be brought down. Excite stays alive by a sliver. They will clean up Preds of the West. Now, this little grudge match is 1-1 apiece.
Fair play to Catjam as well. They struggled yesterday when it came towards this fight for Big Mord. And with Preds of the West kind of repositioning off the back of yesterday, I mean, they were playing more over towards kind of that harvest area. And they've kind of obviously seen the demos from yesterday and realized that, okay, one of the slightly weaker sides, in massive quotation marks, are dropping a Big Mord. Let's see if we can challenge them. And it's, again, it's come back to bite them. They have really struggled there. They've been just decimated from the offset. And they're the first team to fall. And of course, to mention as well, we only have 11 teams in the server for today's action. Of course, all the qualifiers going on at the moment. A couple of teams have dropped out as well. So 11 teams all we're rocking with. And Preds of the West are the first to fall. Now we're inside of the top 10.
You shouldn't mention it. You should just let the viewers think, wow, these guys are killing each other really fast. Just shout out to our observers getting teased towards in the chat for nothing done wrong by them. It's just the fact that, as you said, we're down to 11 teams. One team had to drop out. ALGS commitments as well. But we work with what we've got. And what we've got is a golden situation, really, for teams like Catjam because of the drop locations. I mentioned that kind of L-shaped rotation that's happening. It means Catjam have no risk of being rotated on. Usually they're rotating towards these rings, unless, of course, we get a southeast spawn. But so far it's been northwest and now southwest is where the rings are going to be.
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, realistically speaking as well, for the likes of Catjam, if they want to push themselves up towards Geyser, and they can, I don't think there's really any issue with that. They should get that relatively free. But as you mentioned, with the L-shaped drops that we've seen, the rotation coming through over towards likes of Dome, there are locations like Lava Siphon as well. They can, contest them and probably get a fairly decent amount of upgraded loot if they really want to. Now, the perimeter defense being set up here by Dream Chasers. I think they did okay in towards that previous game and trying to just play the more passive approach, but it didn't quite work out for them because they got pushed by UTFT. Will this be a difference here?
I mean, Dream Chasers, like the last game, we saw them take maybe not the most desirable locations. They were kind of just UTFT's doormat. But in this situation, they can set up ahead of time, but they need to be fast because Murky is sniffing around the backside. They do see the perimeter security. so they know that someone just ran through here. Remember, they do have a seer, so they can check for the heartbeats. They might be a bit too slow, because it looks like a fight is going to be triggered here. Dream Chasers are going to chase for kills, while their opponents over here in Thermal Station are fairly split.
They know there's 2 squads there as well. Murky from range can see that. The question for them is, do they want to play the third party? I think it's even quite risky. I mean, the armor's not exactly looking pretty for them. The loot isn't fantastic either. This could be a big risk if they try and play third party, because it could be dropped as well on the exit.
They haven't got full info, right? They've only seen 3 members between 2 squads. They need to wait for the full picture to make sure that they're not running into some sort of concaved engagement where all attention is on them.
Yeah. How many burgers yesterday? Rock bottom of the scoreboard at a really rough time. But this could work well.
They're going to clean them up. Looks like they get him. Dream Chasers. They really are not getting any breaks here. Handmade burgers are going to turn them into meat patties. And now they're going to have a secondary fight in their hands, because you know the push is coming in from Murky. Black hole thrown wide, trying to drag them through. Wall is going to be in the way, but will give time to breach here and move forward for the high ground. Jord coming over the top. Press goes down below, so he needs to engage here instead. Spray's going to come up, but he's going to get dropped. So Jord, first casualty in this area. Shield's going to come out from the remaining 2 teammates, but they need to make this quick. Spray in looks good. They will find Kinda. Can't easily push this. They're going to get rid of the Watson ult, so no defenses come from the pylon anymore. The spray around is successful, and Murky will once again feel Wrath and Fury going out in ninth.
Back-to-back 9th place finishes is not exactly a dreamboat for the #1 team coming off the back of yesterday. And I think the biggest deficit there for the Murky side was loot. I mean, they came in with barely any upgrades coming to the table, where you looked towards Handmade Burgers, and you know, at least one of them had purple armor, the rest on blue. They had a fairly decent kind of setup in terms of the rifles they were rocking with. Where you look towards Murky, Wingman, Mastiff combo, not exactly kind of a dreamer for them. And, well, it did cause a bit of an issue. They lost just off the back of loot. And that's now, of course, on the other side. Not only is it decent positions for the side of Handmade Burgers, a good couple of kills under the belt is a good amount of points.
Yeah, it kind of feels like one of those situations where if you're going to send it as fast as possible. Maybe you could have considered taking the balloon, because you do have a Valk, right? So then you would have seen the layout of the land. You could have got maybe sort of God spot for the engagement, but there's risks associated with that, right? Maybe they're concerned that it's a bit slower than just running in for the first kill, and maybe they're also concerned they'll get picked from the sky, especially when they've got white shields on the entry.
Of course, exactly that. Real problem, I think, for Murky. He's go back to the drawing board a bit. Maybe even a change in composition might actually help them out. A change in drop zone is probably another one as well. That is worrying to the least. Is probably the way we'll start things off. Of course, only early doors as well. We're only 2 out of 4 games. If they can get those on the top 3 finishing towards the next 2, which we very much know they're capable of off the back of yesterday's performances, it could rectify what has been a pretty bad start.
Yeah, it just comes down to these rotations. Maybe tweak it a little bit, considering north side is mostly clear. Catjam, of course, did opt to take this route this time, so it looks like Fragment is going to see some action, if it's only for a few footsteps and picking up a few pieces of loot.
Yeah, Catjam, who they kickstarted things earlier with their victory over Preds of the West. They're over towards Big Mord, and now they got a long run back to security. And look what August are setting up here. I mean, this is a lot of perimeter defense being set up here by the Watson. Rez will come out online. Not exactly the nicest positions either, though.
Yeah, maybe the best defense being offense in this situation, because you're being offended for the backside. Avis trying to wrap round. Will look for the strike, but doesn't get it. Instead, he gets backstabbed. UTFT with a quick cleanup. Some much needed kills on the board.
Yeah, not exactly pretty for August. Not exactly pretty for them. I think they very much knew they were stuck between a rock and a hard place, trying to set up defense. But, as you mentioned, offense was the biggest advantage. That worked wonders for them. Now it's for UTFT trying to maneuver their way around this maze, what is the perimeter defense, before they can loot up.
It's like they want to keep it alive, maybe use it as defense, but at the same time, oh god, it's a ball ache to move around. So instead,
it is, yeah.
Just get rid of it as if it never existed, just like they got rid of the team that owned it. But now we're going to see a fight coming in over towards Lava Siphon. Clone leading the way. Of course, this is our last match champions, and my god, did they look good doing it. Looking to add some kills to the board. I think they're going to be first kills for them. Franco Brits, heavy hits coming up from JC. Are able to clean it up, but Clone will follow through. Kipper is down, and that will give them the entry they need. Moving straight in.
Significant damage.
Spray's going to come out. Easy clean. I mean, Franco Brits, they look like they could easily just steamroll at this rate. Someone needs to contest, and they need to do it fast. And with only 1 member left this team, it sure as hell isn't coming from Gang Gang.
And do you know what? It does make you wonder what happened yesterday to Franco Brits. I mean, we were kind of building up the narrative off the back of the qualifier. As we mentioned, 3 out of 4 games won for them. That's pretty considerable, especially when you consider what teams they're against. Eco, Invictus Gaming, Sadell as well playing on one of the sides. I mean, you've got some pretty big names, guys who compete with an ALGS, and, you know, a quote-unquote no-name side is coming through and farming, right? What happened yesterday? Because they are unbelievable right now.
Maybe those people aren't playing today. Maybe that's just as simple as that, right?
It's very
like
true,
we get the free pass, but not this time. UTFT, they want vengeance. They said last game should have been ours, so let's get rid of the biggest contender of this one. They push a little bit too aggressively, though. Gonna be a trade out. One going down on each side, and now it's on the ZD to try and clean up, but being cleaned up himself. GX nowhere nearby to assist right now. Instead, he's going to try to aggress forward to create that space for the lifeline to recover. Spray's going to come in. C is going to be brought low. Needs to get that final tap, though. 301, not great for hipfire here. Instead, he buys time. Nazidia comes in, and Franco Brit will be eliminated, but UTFT need to be fast. Third party on the way.
Yeah, not exactly looking great. Got the Sentry on your feet as you're trying to drop a shield back. Going for the aggressive angles against Chetz, though. Messy spray, laboured, finding a dig, shield cracked, but attacks to come out on top. We'll find the first. Numbers in the revolvers. They continue to push forward this agenda. And it's only Nick Bod left alone. One-man army against UTFT, who seem unstoppable. And the Eve 8 going to be up to no good use. Chetz will fall. UTFT survived 2 scares.
That was incredibly scary as well. The way they survive that, they're being hit by the motherload, they're pinched on all sides, they're stuck inside, and they start off with a down. Yes, they traded out, but it's still not the most desirable location to find yourself in. Just shows the composure and the patience on UTFT. They don't rush their timings, they reset correctly, they get their lifeline fully healed, and then they exchange pressure, right? You saw that distraction in the end inside the bus that allowed for Nazidia to just push through and clean house, and it's why now they've got the kill leader. I wouldn't be surprised if they're up at about 7, maybe 8 kills total between them.
Yeah, they must be absolutely swimming in the frags when it comes towards points on the board for them. And the fact that we're now getting towards, you know, the final few teams. There's not that many in contention. We're in the top 4 now. And UTFT, I was going to say earlier, right, kind of the winner out of that Franco Brits UTFT skirmish is probably favourite to take game number 2. And now you've got to say that UTFT have got to be hot up there. Handmade Burgers, a side who were rock bottom off the back of yesterday's proceedings, in towards the top 4 and got a couple of kills on their belt. It's been a pretty decent resurgence.
Exactly. The thing you got to keep in mind, Neo, is handmade burgers take time, not like processed meat. You have to mold it by hand. Yeah, you have to cook it long enough.
It's an art.
Exactly. Maybe we're just starting to see the artists get to work. You know how lazy they can be sometimes, but the situation, they are applying the pressure. You have to worry a little bit about UTFT, though. I believe they're still on their flanks, so they could get backstabbed at any moment here.
Yeah, a couple of taps coming through with that flatline. Just trying to cause a problem. For the time being, though, not exactly looking pretty for Handmade Burgers. They themselves, they know they've got a really long rotate to get back in towards contention here.
Yeah, I like that from Jord, that he hesitates to throw the black hole. It would have felt like a waste here. It's very difficult to push the open ground, especially with a third team looming around. So maybe just wait for a better opportunity here. There's that third team I'm talking about. They are on the bridge on train with what is definitely God's spot for this final ring. It's going to be difficult to contend. They are still in the running. I was wondering whether we're going to check on these lads. So they're the nuisance on the side, but they're on a bit of a sticky situation. I think they're surrounded by all 3 teams right now.
Oh, you don't wish that upon your worst enemy. But, I mean, credit to Mythic, right? I mean, they're just playing that thing that we spoke about earlier. Consistency is key. Second place finish in towards the first game of the day, now in towards that top 4. Either way, they're going to be high up in the terms of the leaderboard, just on the back of, you know, leadership points.
Yeah, it feels like Handmade Burgers, you know, the kind of outlier on the expected teams coming towards this final ring. They're the ones that need to get a good position. They're the only team that will not be in the ring here. If you look at the 3 locations of the other teams, they can hold, right? They won't look great when they have to run out into the open when the final ring closes, but they'll last a lot longer than Burgers to make the podium finish.
Pretty good. Gold armor collectors off UTFC. I mean, look at the loot they've got to work with. They are loving life.
I mean, I didn't think I'd see Lifeline working out. You know, Lifeline for the longest time has been a meme and competitive. It's like, why pick Lifeline when you can pick a good old Loba and get more loot for your team? But I guess if you're going to stand still more frequently, then yeah, Lifeline works out better than Loba.
There we go. There we go. We already came kind of talking about what Mythic are going to do. Hang on a second. Look at these guys just big churn over here. We saw kind of in towards our opening fight of the day towards round one. Catjam were the first team to fall. Now they're in the top 4, and they're in the zone as well. They're in a really great position. They potentially could net themselves a top 3.
That's what I was saying, right? Burger, the only one who looks screwed if everyone stays where they're at. Everyone has kind of a piece of the ring. It doesn't feel great when you initially look at Catjam's location, but consider this. If they rotate west side, they can go into the ravine near the lava spot, and they can actually start to wiggle their way in. It is a bit dangerous because of the position of Mythic, but it gets you out of the ire of UTFT.
Exactly that. I mean, there's definitely a world in which it can come back to bite them a little bit. They are stuck in a little bit of an awkward spot. I think for UTFT, they're in the strongest position right now in terms of got a bit of high ground to work with, got all the information they need to as well, and they have the ability to just rotate away, right? They're in an absolutely fantastic position right now, and they know that the handmade burgers have to rotate into them.
And it's not easy to breach them, right? When you think about the legends remaining in this, you haven't got your instant initiation types like the Ashe coming out. Everyone's going for these static or redeploy rather type heroes. They are terrible at breaching these type of locations. They need a soft and secure landing far away. That is not what's on the board here in any of these locations.
How do handmade burgers escape what seems like an inescapable situation for them? I mean, they are in a really awkward spot.
You become, like many people on the internet, the troll. But in this situation, the troll lives under the bridge. You know, just don't come out right, until you're top 2. And maybe, like, the funny part is actually if you play that right, you could just force a situation where UTFT has to jump from top, or it turns into a healing race, which we don't see frequently these days.
Very true. There's actually a world in which, you know, if handmade burger just play, you know, slow here, they can just force a third party elsewhere. Oh, Black Hole will come through. We kind of spoke about when they would choose to use it, and now they have started to pop it coming through. Going for a messy spray. Not going to find too much, though.
Yeah, but they see everything right now. And you can see the escape is going to be attempted by Mythic to try and rotate out of here, but they need to hold fast. Dragon is going to come in. George looking for an opportunity to spray down here. A lot of damage coming out for E45. Almost gets one clip low, but instead it's going to be one member of Handmade Burgers going down. Atonym hits the deck. George being sprayed from behind. UTFT have rejoined the battlefield, and it's not going to be the favorite of Burgers. Burgers will get wiped out.
Oh my gosh, UTFT, for them at range, they're looking to hunt down Mythic. I don't see Mythic surviving this. There's not a world in which they can. Great spray coming through. The beam coming in, looking to finish off his food, and he will. Dinner dropping nicely for him as Mythic will fall. There's 2 squads remaining, and UTFT looking favourites to take this one.
I thought the Burger would fill them up, but apparently that wasn't enough. They managed to clip a second member of Mythic with the Arc Star. That allowed the clear entry where they knew they couldn't be turned and burned upon. And look at what they've done here. Did they actually push that with 2 members, or do Catjam just wrongly think they're still there? They actually pushed that with 2 members, so they didn't even surrender Godspot. Instead, now it looks like UTFT have a very cozy end scenario here with 2 teams remaining.
I think Catjam are going to really struggle here. I mean, they're going to be forced into an awkward rotation where they're going to have to be, you know, in the wilderness, in no man's land, trying to take a fight here. Surely this is UTFT's game to lose. It has to be.
Yeah, Catjam in quite the jam. Kind of feels fitting here, but the only upside I see for them is one member of UTFT has about 2 clips left on his 301. He hasn't relooted because he was the guy guarding on top of Rail. But honestly, I think the other 2 can beam, get 1 drop, and then the fact that 1 member doesn't have a gun doesn't matter because 1 member of Catjam will be dead.
Very true. My goat bloodhound over towards the other side as well. Oh, a little bit of a dance. The Serpentine coming through here. Oh, he's toying with his food. Oh, no, not like this.
Can't touch this, dude. It's kind of fitting, right? Because he's actually buying time as well. They see him, they get distracted by him. GX rotated. I mentioned that GX had no ammo. That was cover fire in a different form. Instead of wasting ammo, he just danced, and then the Valkyrie went to reloot. If we check Val, we'll see she actually does once again have light ammo to work with.
Oh, this is just perfect, isn't it? I mean, the playstyle here is fantastic coming through. Surely, I can't see how Catjam find this in their way. And to make matters even better for UTFT, they're also the kill leader as well. I mean, they've got a lot of points in terms of the frags too.
It's absurd. I think they're actually going to overtake Franco Brits here because of it. Like, Franco Brits didn't get much, right? I think they... How many kills did they get? Like 2, 3, possibly?
Yeah, I think 3 max, so I had to make a guess.
Next to no placement points. I think they went out in 6th, 7th. Yeah, it's not looking good for them. They're going to have to spin it around in game number 3 because UTFT, you know, they got some points off the way that they placed, I believe. And they got a few kills early on, but this game is dominant, so I wouldn't be surprised if they crack 12 kills themselves.
And I love as well how UTFT can just keep spamming Missile Swarm from range. Just be
such
annoying.
An absurd ability.
Yeah, they could just be annoying. I just love it. I mean, for Catjam, they know that this is... it seems like an impossible task here. I mean, what do they even do? The second they step foot out of here, it's going to become dicey, and Rousey already gets absolutely lasered. No armor left for him, and surely not long live for the world.
He's gone full fleshy here. Arcstar's going to be thrown in. Tax is going to go up high to get the lay of the land here. Black Hole is going to be thrown out, but they're all pinched behind the shipment container. Tax reluctant to push just yet. Has still got that Re-45 to work with. All cracking fast here. Looks like one's going to be down though. Player does get dropped by GX. Now the movement comes out from Tax. Second one's going to hit the deck, and it looks like it's going to be a clean sweep for UTFT to show dominance here in the second game.
What a performance from UTFT. Their hardest opponent out of the Franco-British Union. Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Round number 2 was quite the heater, especially if you're a UTFT fan. They farmed their way to a first place finish, and the kills on top of that. They must be swimming in the points department. But what a game. What a game. We saw kind of UTFT really claim dominance over the Franco-British Union, which more or less set them up on the pedestal to win it.
I feel like it was a story of switching sides, right, of the outcomes through start to finish, right? We saw Catjam win their initial contest. We saw Handmade Burgers do pretty well. UTFT that got roughed up in the final circles of rough as everyone else's feathers. It just kind of, it felt right? I liked seeing things play out this way instead of being too stompy. We were kind of worried after we watched that first game maybe it's just going to be a runaway for the Franco-Brits, but love the fact that UTFT quickly strike back. Also love the fact that Mythic, although they're not the biggest, most prolific fraggers, they are consistently in the running in the top 4 in both of these games.
Exactly that. I think this is really going to be one of those things where we say consistency is key and king, right, for Mythic. Even though maybe kind of the fragging department hasn't been fantastic, just the fact that they're getting so consistent within that top 3, which is 2 games in a row now, they could be okay. Oh, they got a 4th place, in fact. But let's take a look at the points. If UTFT just got kills alone, they would still be joint first. I mean, that says it all, really. Wow. 25 points of them, 12 of the back of finishing first place is fantastic. Credit to Catjam as well. Their opening engagement against Friends of the West over towards Big Maud led them actually to a 2nd place finish.
Yeah, it's nice to see. I love the fact Handmade Burger strike back. A very healthy 5 kills, 10 points on the board. And, it's something to keep in mind is that Franco-British Union had 12 kills. And I was like, I wouldn't be surprised if UTFT cracked that record in this one. They did. And reminded folks, it's 11 teams, right?
Yeah.
So just do the maths quickly. There's only 30 kills possible. UTFT almost killed half of the lobby.
You really got to give them a lot of credit. Let's take a look how things stand on the back of that. UTFT climb their way in towards 1st place. 34 points overall off the back of 2 games is not bad by any means. Just behind them, Franco-British Union, 30 points. Not too shabby, but their 2nd round really let them down compared to what was a stonking 1st. And then, of course, Mythic. We said consistency is key and king. And, of course, they're in 23. We kind of see, it's quite congested at the top. And then from there on out, it really spaces out.
Yeah, the interesting part is you're seeing these kind of pop offers, right, that hit or miss so far with your top 2 in UTFT and the Franco-British Union. But then below that, you've got that consistency we talked about. Double-digit scores in both rounds compared to single digits for one for UTFT and then one for Franco-Union. Across 4 rounds, I still feel like if this continues, this type of pattern, UTFT and the Franco-Union should be able to take the top 2 spots. But it's kind of crazy to think. Imagine if this was just 6 games instead. That consistency might just push the 3rd, 4th team ahead of the fraggers.
Yeah, no, exactly that. I think there's definitely kind of, that difference in play style. And this is actually what was Franco-British Union's best thing in terms of the qualifiers was they just played passive. We kind of mentioned about the likes of, Invictus Gaming and Eco. They were joint first in terms of the fragging department. 33 kills that they both held off the back of the qualifiers. But Franco-British Union, they only had 20 kills. But they won 3 out of 4 games just off the back of staying alive. They've changed it because they realized off yesterday's performances, that's not good enough. You can't play passive anymore. You have to really try and hunt for a couple of frags just to assert a bit of dominance, and it worked well for them. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to throw us into a break. When we are back, game number 3 out of 4 of the day is on the way. We'll see you in a moment.
Apex Legends Premiership powered by Intel, but still 2 games to go on World's Edge before we know who is going to be the dominant team here in the second day. And, well, so far, Neo, we've seen a mixture of dominance back and forth. We mentioned a little bit before the break, you know, you've got these pop-offers who then hard flop because they're frequently running into each other. And then you've got the consistent people just kind of chugging through. And all I can think is, you know, if you get one game where maybe Mythic or Handmade Burgers run into a bunch of those weaker teams, or if, like last game with Handmade Burgers, those teams run into you, you might find one of these two getting a 20 bomb.
Absolutely right. And then how does that completely change the dynamic at the top of the leaderboard? We'll have to wait and see. Round number 3, about to get underway. Now, yesterday, consistency is key was a statement that we mentioned a lot both today and yesterday. And it was only really yesterday, UTFT and Murky who were consistent. They absolutely steamrolled the leaderboard. Today, though, of those two, only UTFT have come out to play. Murky have really struggled. They've dropped out in 9th and 7th place, respectively, of the last 2 games. From a side who dominated yesterday and finished top, what a change-up.
And we should highlight why consistency is so important in these formats. You know, sometimes you talk about like ALGS's match point system. It's not just consistency, you need to be a winner, right? But in this situation, you can just kind of be a winner instead, right? If you just get like 10 to 15 points a game, you float through, that might just crack the top spot because you don't need to win to come out on top as the winner. But it looks like we're going to find out who comes out on top. So far, this duel has been 1-1 apiece. Catjam are taking some early damage though. We're going to push forward. They've got a Mastiff. They have CQ, but they have no range to work with, so they need to be fast about this. Are going to move in. Meantime, looks like fights are happening elsewhere, but we're going to keep on focus here. Blade does trade out as player, takes out Lieutenant Joe Bear, so 1-1 apiece. We can take the lead now. The wingman shots are going to be a whiff as he gets baited by the Bamboozle. Spray does look decent, but they're going to need to do more than that if they want to secure the area, and they cannot secure their teammate. Fire is going to be firsted.
Poor Catjam, man. I mean, they're always in the fight from the get-go. You really do got to feel for them a little bit. Now they're trying to re-aggress the best they can. They've picked up the banner. That's good. Making it towards a beacon, though, is going to be the harder occasion. Rousey is 1 point away from death. Not exactly looking nice for them.
Well, now he's dead. Now he's gone. Now he's down. He needs some assistance. Kiranuzi gets the kill. Spray's going to come out. X-Side looking good. Does get the crack. Decent amount of shield raining. But once again, Bamboozles R Us is going to arrive. No way that he can clean up the Raj in time, so he just has to back away. But he isn't going to be free yet. Double time is going to get him out of the jam. Really needs a shield swap because it feels like he's not going to get time to shield back up.
Yeah, he's looking at a horrible scenario. Preds of the West, we mentioned about this consistent fight between Preds of the West and Catjam. Whoever wins it seems to end up having a fairly decent run in terms of the long-term Blade. He is so lucky to still be alive.
I'm surprised he even gets that shield bat off. I thought he was going to be chased, but instead they're going to get to reset. Remember, they've got all 3 members up now, but barely. Lieutenant Joe Bear hits the deck again. Blade, if he loses those shields, even a cough would kill him. They are not in good shape, despite what the count would show. X-Side still has a way of turning this about, but it's all on him now if Catjam want to stay alive.
Yeah, no shield bats as well. No, not even cells. I mean, for him, he has to just try and rock this one. Well, a little bit raw. See what he can do with it. Very meaty from him. Will he be able to find anything? No, I think he's going to pick up the beacon and hightail it. Or pick up the banner and hightail it towards the beacon. The better way to play it, to be perfectly honest. There's no way he's going to pull off a 1 versus 2. They've got the position. They've got the high ground. Everything's in their favor. Just get out of there. Try and get the reses back in play.
Yeah, I respect that. Like, the issue he heard, I think he'd hear the res going off, and he's playing as a Bangalore. There's no quick entry point. You're not like a Valk who can fly up and be a nuisance. And notice that he doesn't go for the respawn here. It's way too close. You would get jumped the moment they hop out of that dropship. So instead, he'll run wide, probably look for a reset over towards Lava Siphon, maybe even dip towards launch site, because I don't think we've seen any teams prioritizing that as a drop so far.
Yeah, no, you're actually spot on. 4 players here on the screen. Chet's
by my maths, that's not exactly how teams work. Someone's missing someone.
Someone's missing someone. Chet's is one of those, as Coach is no longer playing. They do have the banner, though, which is nice. They just need to get to a beacon. And actually running the opposite way. So prioritizing loot over the resurrection. Fair play.
Well, maybe this is part of their plan. I mean, his name is Coach, right? So maybe this is him in his prime, right? He's just there. Yeah, guys, you got this. Keep going. Just pumping them on from the sideline.
Exactly. Yeah, just just spectate, be the third party, be a backseat gamer for us, coach. You know, we 2 versus 3. I mean, easy, right?
Because I've already lost once, I don't want to lose again, so I'll just flame people from here. I was safe here, but not safe in this area. Franco Brits 2 down. JC, last one standing, but not for long. Gets taken out. Handmade Burgers are limping through as well. There's still a third team here that can put an end to Burgers as well. Last game, we saw them dominate this drop, but this time, it's Murky that come out swinging.
Franco Bits on the first side to fall. Not exactly something I would have expected. Murky have come through swinging. And we mentioned that Kinder is someone that we have to really keep an eye on. He was top fragging in towards day 1, someone who was on fire.
Ooh.
Now, of course, for him, looking for all the same.
Hold the fun. The fire landslide. I wasn't expecting to see one of these anytime soon, but Daimos first to go down here. Mythic looking fairly roughed up, but they have the man advantage. All 3 of theirs are still standing, although barely in this situation. Denise is going to go down. Teddy with the spray almost gets the drop. Instead, it's going to be timed on. Gets taken out, but not cleaned up. Augulus are going to be eliminated. Vash is able to recover. Mythic will come out ahead.
God, what a messy engagement that was. You saw the double exhibit on play as well. I mean, both sides are just definitely going to hunt for as much information on the back of their seer as they possibly could find. Mythic will come out top. And we said for Mythic as well, they're a side who, if they maybe step it up a little bit in terms of the fragging department, they could be a real problem. And this is already what I like to see. Them going aggressive. Speaking of aggressive, look at this from Murky. Hello. Hang on a second. Handmade Burgers. Good night. They've been gobbled up.
Yeah, and that's now 4 kills for Kinder. You mentioned he's a frag-tastic lad, and he's proven it here. Murky off to such a better start. And keep in mind the teams that eliminated in this area, Burger's gone. One of the big priorities, they were able to annihilate people over here in Film Station before. Unlikely they're going to have another team rotating here, so there should be a free-fall loop. They can probably all get their hands on purples, fully equipped on their guns before they look for another fight, and be comfortable in doing so.
Well, that's it. Now, Zone is going to start to push some of these teams through. X-Sides and Co, so the Cat Jam lot, are just going to comfortably sit in and continue to loot up.
And when I see all the health bars that low, I don't feel comfortable about it at all. Wait, do they have a med kit for Rousey here?
He's playing on the edge.
Bad feeling.
Uh-oh. I am getting very worried about Rousey.
I'm just watching that bar right now. I don't even care about the map. I'm just looking at Rousey. He's got the med kit's going off though. He's fine.
Oh, okay. Okay,
yeah,
thank God.
He's toying with us. He's a min-maxer lad. I hate those people. They always make me bite my nails.
Yeah, he was really playing on a knife's edge there. I mean, even still, they kind of still are. They need to, maybe continue rotating their way back in. Granted, for them, even when they do rotate into the zone, they're still going to be stuck in horrible plays because there's the team waiting for them.
Yeah, but think about this, Neo. They don't have a rotating hero. Look at the comp. How do you relocate with this comp? You don't. So you just have to keep fabricating meds to stay alive and then try to get to the nearest balloon. Even then, we saw how far away it is. You have to jump straight into Lava Siphon, and Lava Siphon does not feel good to rotate in from outside a ring. Very open area, very predictable rotations.
What is the game plan here for Cat Jam?
Just keep healing until everyone else dies, maybe?
Yeah, fair play. There's definitely a couple of question marks for me. We can come back to them in a little bit later. We'll we'll relocate because for Cat Jam, yeah, a couple of question marks coming through my mind. We'll wait and see if they even survive that.
The thing you have to think about is like those type of plays used to make sense, and it's like a muscle memory thing where like you'll come out with decent meds, but ever since they made the changes to the rings, with them doing more damage and moving more aggressively, you end up burning more meds. So although they'll get out of this, they'll probably have nothing to work with. One fight could just end them.
And I mentioned as well, right, the second they rotate out, in towards that next zone, there's a team who's ready and waiting for them. And they know that there's a team on their back. So they're going to hug the zone all the way in and just be a nuisance. The second they spot any sort of information of the Cat Jam side rotating their way forward, they're just going to pepper them. And with no heals, there's no way they're going to survive unless they get just, the luck of the gods.
Man, UTFT. I don't know if it's luck of the gods, no one else dropping where you drop. Maybe it is in terms of the teams that entered, but once again, just getting fully lured, a free drop. But they do need to think about those kills. Remember, we mentioned that although they're off to a great start halfway through here, all it takes is one pop-off performance by a team like Mythic, and all of a sudden, your dreams can break.
That's exactly it. Tempo, dynamic, nice and quiet right now. Very slow.
Yeah, it's taking in the scenery, right?
Exactly, melodic in the server, some would say. We see Murky, who's going to change the scene by a barrage.
Yeah, they hate the scene. They're like, oh, this is ugly. We need to destroy more of the map. I hate World's Edge. When's Kings Canyon coming back? I'm not looking like Kings Canyon anymore.
Yeah, have a missile swarm. Oh, hang on a second. From behind, Jay will slay. He actually just about gets away with not taking too much damage in the grand scheme of things. And that's information gained for them. Oh, no.
Oh, good lord. You say he gets away fairly unscathed, but not for long. It's going to be turned onto. And they're spread right now. Kinder is nowhere near to assist, so it's on KG to try and hold here. Able to do so. Will take GX out. UTFT, a team that is at the top of those leaderboards. Looking like they might get roughed up. Murky not able to recover it. It is now all on one in a 2-on-1.
Yeah, and I think, you know, even for the rest of that side over towards Murky, being just the one left alive, they might even just play the numbers game and just try and wait out as best they can. There's no point taking a fight, especially when you know it's UTFT on the other side who are, you know, engaging in a heavy approach. Do not test those waters. It's just not worth it by any means. Try and stay alive. The second Marsh Karge fell, it was kind of, you know, game, set, and match over there. Now, Missile Swarm will come through. Coach is back alive as well. He's coaching from in the server. Good to see.
Okay, yeah, well, he might be back to coaching from the side soon. This is not a great position to find yourself in. Your opponents do have the high ground. For anyone who's watched Star Wars, they know that does not end well. Coach is going to hit the deck. And they know exactly where the follow-up kill is. Teddy keeping the pressure on, needs to reset here. But they could try to gap close, and they might want to. They're pinging the enemies are behind them. So hanging around here too long might lead to you getting sandwiched. A little bit hesitant. Smoke's going to blind them out a lot here. It's just a tough one. You can't fast rotate. You don't want to give up the high ground, but it means you are stuck in this floating box of death. At least it won't feel that way for long when you see the Valk behind you rotate her whole team away.
Oh, good shot. Broke his shield, and they might even just pop an execute off the back of that. Just try and play on the more aggro stance. They know he's trying to shield back his way back in towards contention as they're going to fly their way in towards a fight.
Yeah, Teddy pressures him wide side. They have to hide behind the door. They don't realize the knee snuck in. Arcstar's going to come out. Nice quick jump away with the lift. Black hole follow up on the Arcstar to make them spread. And that means that they are going to be like shooting fish in the barrel. Vash goes to a 1. Teddy takes another. It's all on one remaining member. Coach at least taps one down, but it's a 2-on-1. He has no quick breach available.
Oh, it's a great fight. It is a fantastic fight. Coach, surely. Not long left. Down he goes. Jets will eliminate. That's a fantastic fight by Mythic. The black hole support by the Arcstar was great. Hang on a second. UTFT. They got other ideas. They're getting freebies. No armor. They are meaty and fleshy, and they are being peppered.
It won't be fleshy for long. Soon they're going to be bony. Undead even. They try to rotate away. It means they're going to abandon ship and leave all behind. UTFT, we wondered if they were going to just rotate past, but no. They notice the firefight going on. They smell opportunity, and they strike while the iron is hot.
Yeah, UTFT are getting a lot of points now. Not off the back of positioning, but of course some kills. I mean, they're just adding even more to what has already been an impressive tally. Our champions coming off the back of Game 2, looking to make it a repeat in towards Game 3. 6 teams remain for us, heading in towards what could potentially be the final stint, 13 alive.
Yep. And UTFT have a good position to rotate into.
Yeah.
They actually might end up with Godspot on top of the hill as the ring closes. And also because the location they're rotating from, unlike they're going to get backstabbed either. Instead, I'm a bit worried for Dream Chasers. There's a reason most people don't like to hard hold Harvesters. When you look at this ring, you can see exactly why. But at the moment, we're going to look at the Cat Jam. What? All right, guys, calm down. It looks like they're long gone.
Yeah, don't panic, boys. We're all
Classic
right.
Bloodhound sees the footsteps, like, they must be here. Calm down, it was 30 seconds ago.
Well, for them, to be fair, they've actually got a fairly decent rotate coming through. I mean, this is an area that's already been previously cleared. We mentioned this specific spot was where UTFT did all of their best work in towards that previous game. And for now, Catjam are going to take that spot that beat them in towards the previous.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the same God spot this time, right? It's good for one ring, but then you have to run across that open battlefield. And, well, what did we mention about Catjam with their comp? Not the best at rotating. I guess you could argue 2 members can run fast. One requires that they're being shot at. That does mean that you're leaving your recon character behind.
Oh, it could be one of the most important as well when it comes towards those final zones. So, have to wait and see. At range, bit of a spray coming through the R301. Finding too much as well.
Some players like to just go over to the single fire at that range, right? Just like, don't expend too much ammo, tap, 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 tap. It's very difficult to get a kill from that range unless you've got, like, say, 2 marksman rifles in your comp.
Oh, exactly. I think it's more about being a nuisance for them, isn't it?
Yeah.
Bread to the west, down to just one.
Message.
Yeah, Kiranuzi, and I think this is a playstyle that we've seen time and time again. We actually saw Catch do quite a bit in towards day one, which is just, you know, when one left alive, there's no opportunity to get those banners back in play. Just play a little bit of a rat play. Try and get, you know, into that top 5 if you can. Sneak your way forward.
Starting to feel like that name's a bit of a bait, right? They haven't had an opportunity to be the predator, mostly the prey in this series so far.
Yeah.
Maybe he can be his own little predator. Maybe he can be a solo runner and be a nuisance in those final rings. You never know. Just getting top 3 placement, maybe playing third party to get second place could net a lot for your team.
Well, tempo once again, slow down to a little bit of a halt. We're not really seeing too much to work with right now. It is nice and slow. Don't really need anything too special, overzealous, overconfident. Just to say that black hole will be popped. And UTFT, they're loving a bit of aggressive. Look at this. RE45 is melting this close range the Jimmy dropped.
He's going to burn down, though. He pays a price for it. He pays a tax, shall we say. And now GX trying to hold them back so they get an opportunity to reset. Now going to shield up. The hold in the moment. The res is going to come out successfully, so now it's going to be 3-on-2. Arc Stars are going to keep them oppressed, and Dream Chasers are once again going to be eliminated. UTFT now with a decent spot, but they did fall for the true God spot to get this. Looks like another team took it away from them.
Yeah, exactly. When we met with him in Syndrome on the other side, UTFT, credit to them. Their positional awareness when it comes towards fight is fantastic. But, as you mentioned, losing that God spot has made things quite uncomfortable. Gang left with just one member remaining alive, just out of Kiffer. Only blue armor to work with as well. Isn't exactly a dream at this latter stage of this map number 3.
Do you have to rename yourself at this stage? Like, if you just keep having to run solo like this, are you really a gang anymore?
Yeah, an individual.
Yeah. Just call yourself G. Take the rest of the name away.
Exactly.
Oh,
For now...
Well, looks like we've got a little Robin Hood in the neighborhood this time.
Yeah.
And Kiffer... Well, okay. Now, in fairness, Kiffer actually has probably the best spot as long as no one sees him. You know what I'm talking about? It's that type of feeling like, well, I feel pretty good here, but if anyone sees me and starts a fight, I'm just getting bum rushed.
Oh, no, and I think they took pop shots at him as well. UTFT, they know he's going to reply with a missile swarm, and now everybody knows where Kiffer is. So, unfortunate for him, I don't think he's going to survive too long, because UTFT might just be like, well, that's a free point. Let's just go and gang up on him.
I think Catjam are going to gang him. Like, you could just run bridge here, and it looks like there is a rotation for that now. I think Rousey was moving across the bridge. But the backstab coming in. Kiffer gets the bad news. This spot is no longer safe, and the push comes in from UTFT at the same time. They take God spot back, and they take ahead with it.
Oh, I love UTFT. The way in which they play. We spoke about positional awareness being so good for them. They're trying to melt at range as well. We'll catch a bit of damage, not exactly too bad. Care Package coming out of the line as well. He's going to be very helpful. Imagine they find something special from this. This could really add to the woes on the side. A couple of Phoenix kills to work with, not exactly the end of the world. It's looking very good. I mean, UTFT, look at the position they've got. The high ground, you've got to save a cat jam. Try and survive this one again. It's a similar fight that we've seen in towards that previous game, and it's a similar scenario where UTFT look in a fantastic spot. Just a side note, look at Kieran Newsy.
He's working. So 2 teams here are playing a Battle Royale, and now with Kif being eliminated, only one player remaining is playing a survival simulator. This is not fun right now. And he's playing one of the worst ones to try and survive long term. He has one bamboozle in him with his ultimate that can maybe get him some space, but you haven't got like a relocate tool with the Mirage.
I love this. I really do. Bit of a spray. Nothing too much. I mean, for UTFT, they're in a fairly decent spot. They got the zone. I mean, I want to, make the argument that they have to be careful of Kieran Uzi, but they don't. They really don't. All they have to do is make sure the Catjam can't rotate their way in, and they'll be fine.
Yeah. Maybe if Kieran finds, I don't know, maybe there's a neutral care package. Maybe it has some spicy in it. Maybe then he's threatening. But yeah, even then, as a Mirage, you have to get on top of that roof. You will be heard on the climb. It's not desirable for him, especially considering you need to be up there. That is God spot. The good news for him, because these 2 teams are fighting and Catjam is out of ring, it's likely that he can still net a 2nd place finish for his team.
Yeah, that's it. Catjam rotating their way in. I mean, they know that they're in between a bit of a rock and hard place in terms of their position isn't fantastic. Turn on their back. Smoke will come through as well just to try and keep UTFT in consideration here. They want to allow Catjam to go aggressive to punish them.
Oh, I think they found a member on the low side all alone. UTFT went a little bit too wide, but nice backstab, instantly returned the favor. Player's also going to get cracked, needs to reset with the thermal grenade out. Will dodge the black hole, at least you think he would. He gets dragged back in, but UTFT now down to one member. Tax has to send it before the res comes out. Nice Re-45 spray on the player to finish him off, and now it's a one-on-one. Third member, or third team rather, does get eliminated. So it is just between these two, UTFT and X-Side. Who's going to come out ahead? Spray looks good. Tax knows he can send it now. The Re-45 bang, looking not long for this world.
Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the ESL Premiership powered by Intel. Now, we have just finished and concluded our third game as UTF2 get back-to-back victories. And off the back of that, plus the insane amount of kills they got, I think it's probably pretty safe to say, Killer Pigeon, that they are top of the scoreboard.
Yeah, not gonna lie, Neo. I think everyone's just fighting for second place, or first place loser, as I like to refer to it, right? Like, you know, you're gonna have to settle for second or third here. It's looking a bit rough. I would say Mythic, you know, Murky, and what's the other team we're thinking about
Cat
here?
Jam, I think, probably.
Cat Jam, and then, of course, let's not forget about the Franco-Brit Union, right? They're all still contesting for those podium finishes, but no doubt in my mind, UTFT probably have like a 20, 25-point lead now.
Yeah, especially because the Franco-Brits dropped quite early towards that previous game. The only ones now potentially contesting is probably Cat Jam, just because that's back-to-back kind of top three finishes for them, you know. I think there's definitely positives. Did you take it? Oh, no. Fantastic, isn't it?
I can't. Like, that to me is going to be the moment of the day, just because, like, the timing could not have been worse for him, right? Like, I've done it, guys. I'm going to get us a top 3 finish, and then just out of nowhere, what up?
Ryzen says, I've got other ideas, and they come through. UTFT, though, you really got to give them credit when it comes towards the way in which they compose themselves. You know, they kind of controlled aggression. They're great in terms of the moments of chaos as well. A lot of credit has to be given to the start in the way in which they kind of just dominating their opponents. Now we look at the round standings off the back of round 3. Yeah. UTFT 12 points, 24 points, 12 kills, may I say. And just the back of kills alone, they would have netted themselves a first place finish. I mean, that is fantastic. Okay. Fair play to them. Catjam in towards second place, 12 points, 3 kills under their belt. And Mythic with 6 kills gets 10 points. So, in the grand scheme, as we can expect, UTFT should be running away with the points at the top. Yeah. It's more of a question who comes into a second, third, and it's actually going to be Mythic with 33 and Franco Jr. with 32, and Catjam actually not that far behind with 27. I think going in towards, the last game of the day, this could be very interesting to see who gets those, second and third podium positions.
Definitely. I mean, I'm a little bit surprised Franco British Union is still contesting at the top of the leaderboard, considering how Game 3 went. But, they did go on a complete baller in Game 1, right? 24 points is incredible. But Catjam, I think Catjam are really impressing me. They're looking warmed up. I wouldn't be surprised if they just knock Franco down, unless Franco can find early rotations and get those initial frags, and maybe just get the good God spot. I think if we see the ring, say, towards, Northwest again, Franco Union look good. If we're playing towards Southeast this time, if we keep balancing all things and say let's not play the same area, I've got a weird feeling that the Catjam might get top 2 again.
Imagine, right? I think that would be, a massive change towards yesterday, where for Catjam, they were kind of fighting for bottom place at one point. I think it was only that fourth game in which Catjam had a fairly decent, I think they finished 6th overall, and it meant that they just crept their way into the top 10 off the back of day one standings, right? And now they've completely kind of revitalized themselves, and they've started to play as we liked. Consistency is key. Just getting those top 3 finishes gives them a lot of points. Well, we'll have to wait and see how things pan out in towards our fourth and final game, ladies and gentlemen. We're the first one to a break. When we are back, fourth game, last game of the day, underway.
Apex Legends Premiership powered by Intel, but you know what? powered by hype gameplay as well. We've seen some great performances through a few different teams so far after 3 maps, but now we move into the finale, and unless UTFT trip on the Ethernet cable and disconnect, it seems almost impossible for them to not take top spot today.
I think unless they, they would have to kind of drop out last place, get no kills, and then, maybe like kind of the Franco Brits come through an unbelievable kill game. That's the only way I can see a world in which UTFT don't get top spot. And it's kind of as we were building up coming in towards this one, it is basically the battle for second and third place. Who's going to get the podium? Because second, third, and fourth is very hotly contested.
Hear me out, Nia. What if in the lobby right now, like the teams in the bottom half all just typing, agreeing to like drop on trials?
Just farm UTFT.
Full melee, right? Like, remember those Shroud clips from the early days of PUBG where like 50 people land on him and try to beat him to death? We'll see how good UTFT are if they can kill all those people, right?
Or like whenever you see kind of streamers with pred trails go into those games and people will just chase them, right? Everyone understands UTFT are dropping trials. Let's go find them. Let's go farm them, right? Yeah. If that happens, I mean, that would throw a spanner in the works. Maybe we see, a story tale where handmade burgers become top 3. That's what I want to see. I want to see the handmade burgers climb the way into top 3.
Yeah, like honestly, all the other battlers again, and when we get VoIP, like local VoIP for Apex as well, I would love that at the beginning, right now in the ship, just hearing the smack talk and everyone just saying where they're not going to drop or where they are. But it looks like we are ready to drop. Final map of the day. One more time, we head into World's Edge.
Yes, well, will UTFT get Skyhook and Trials for free is the question on my mind, everyone's mind as well. Are we going to see the similar fight between Preds of the West and Catjam over towards Big Mord as well? I mean, that has been a bit of standard. And yes, we are. Hang on. Who's in Skyhook?
Hold the front door before it smacks me in the face. We have got a fight. And people have been asking to see some of Deimos in the chat. They might get their wishes come true. We'll see if it lasts long, though, because UTFT... weirdly enough, they reacted to this. You notice that, Neo? Usually one of them is in Trials and one's in West Skyhook and East Skyhook. Instead, they're playing a building apart.
I like this. I like this. I mean, finally we see them kind of, at least tested in this regard, right? And there's the fact that there's a potential rotation coming up from just below them. So there's a world, right? I'm still, concerned about Big Mord. We've seen that similar fight. Catjam, Preds of the West. They've hotly contested in the previous 3 games.
Catjam, no one truly won the 3rd game, right? Because there was a retreat, but I believe Catjam were the ones holding at the end. So is that a 2-1 or like a 1.51 scoreline for them?
True, yeah. How do we dice it up?
I think we say 1.5/1. That way, either side can still be the true victors over Mord today.
Right. Okay. I like that. Maybe we should just try and egg them on, just have one final showdown towards Big Mord to see who's really the victor. Winner takes all kind of thing.
Imagine if like it finishes on Mord, right?
Finish off, please.
There we go. See if you're truly the Kings of Mord at the end of it all. Are they actually fighting there, or did they spread wide? Because I think this is the first time we've been checking on Dream Chasers on landing. So they're playing Lava Siphon. If there is a fight over at Big Mord, there could be a forced rotation into Siphon here, looking at where the ring is coming. Yeah,
I think if I'm right in saying Catjam went more over towards Lava City, and we're kind of, parking up, getting a little bit of loot over there. Maybe actually getting loot there before rotating up towards Big Mord for the final showdown. Now, hang on a second. UTFT.
Did he just get nutmegged by Arcstar there? Because that looked like that should have connected to GX.
He's a lucky man. And he's going aggro off the back of it as well. I love this decision.
I mean, they're hunting. They know. They know that was a panic Arcstar. That was a please don't chase me Arcstar. So they are going to be looking for the bloodlines here. See if they can find someone. Notice that GX, somewhat paranoid. Maybe one of them is ratting behind a rock, but instead they need just one target for all of them to send it on. As soon as they see that scan, they will definitely ping for it. But I think they know they must be in the building or beyond. Gonna give hot pursuit here. And they will find a freebie. Or you think it'd be free. Nazidia needs some assistance. GX will arrive just in time to interrupt the heals. Wait, what are we doing here?
And a finisher as well. There's no need. But
honestly,
fall.
Wait, where's his team? Did they all just run in different directions? I feel like they did.
Where are his team? I'm assuming maybe they gone ahead, and unfortunately for French, he kind of got left behind, and he became cannon fodder for just UTFT to feed on. But speaking of, UTFT are actually going to space out a little bit. Tax is going for a little bit of a longish rotation. I'm not really too sure what the game plan is for him. Maybe it's just to cause an issue to catch people rotating in.
Yeah, just go find kills each. Everyone just kill someone else, and already a crack comes out. 50 health left. Tax is going to get the high ground. See everything here. Arc started to force pressure, but you see him running right here. And that's the beautiful thing. You see that horizon. Instantly recover on landing, so you can quickly gap close. And oh, look at that. A death toe. I'll wait here. You go stab them, and we'll see where they end up. Hello! Goodbye.
Oh, that is unbelievably unfortunate. Now we're looking over towards another clone, part of the British Franco Union, taking a bit of a fight here.
No, Dream Chase is not like this. Trivial's DC'd. It's in the name, actually, so it's kind of fitting that they'd be the team to have this issue. I should laugh at it. It's so unfortunate in this situation.
That is very... You really got to feel for them. In the name, in the game, Trivia's DC, Dream Chasers are one man down. Not exactly a dream for them. And actually, you got to feel for Dream Chasers. All of today, they've actually been playing quite well, but they've been getting unbelievably unlucky.
Yeah, maybe the argument here is, you should just try to go on like a hot streak for one of the games, because if you're going to disconnect from the other ones, I mean, consistency isn't really going to be key here anymore.
True.
Just one of those unfortunate situations though. It's the nature of Battle Royales. You play something like CSGO, you play a Dota 2, you can pause, but no pausing here. No waiting around. No mercy.
Just get a couple of punches in. And probably a decent amount of loot off the back of it as well. I mean, for the Franco-Brits, they weren't exactly pretty in terms of the loot prior to that. So, at least for them, bit of purple armor would be quite nice. JC, you're looking a little bit more comfortable. Franco-Brits, now inside of the top 10. 9 squads remain, 26 alive.
And remember, Mythic were, I believe, leading Franco-Brits by 1 point, or were 1 point behind. So it's tight. One
behind, I think. Yeah. Oh no, Franco-Brits. No, they were third. No, you're all right. Mythic were in second. Yeah,
it was 33 and 32, I believe.
It was. Yeah.
So every little kill counts, and so far they have at least 3 considering Franco-Brits. I think they just wiped Dream Chasers alone. It looks like we are going to check in on north side, or south side rather, towards launch site and dome. We are going to get a fight here. I believe that's Murky, right? Oh, that's
Murky and Cat Jam.
He's down. And Rousey's been spotted out as well, and Cat Jam, they flipped it. You said they went for a different rotation, but it seems they've been sniffed out. It's not going to be a free rotation out anymore.
Yeah, we warned the world of what Kinder can do when it comes to him and just his individual mechanical prowess, and he stepped up one already. And Jay will slay. Charge rifle at range, drops player, leaving it all down to 1. This should be a free couple of kills coming through here for the Murky side. All down to 1 now.
Now, here's how you do it if you're Murky. Here's how you just take the top spot from UTFT. You leave one alive, you let him pick up the banners, go res.
And just keep farming.
Just keep recycling them,
It's genius, if you ask me.
But it's not going to work. Cat Jam were eliminated. They took out the final member, so instead Murky will just settle for the free. Franco-Brits might have to settle for a retreat here, Clone. Almost gets knocked straight away. Handmade burgers have been taken out in the meantime. So you see heads are quickly being lobbed off, but Franco-Brits are still leading the way in terms of kills. At least in this game.
Now all goes nice and quiet. We've kind of, just as we enter in towards round 2, it goes a little bit more on the quiet side. It's, 7 squads remaining. 20 alive. A couple of teams rocking with a man or 2 shy. Mythic on the high ground. We wondered what Mythic were doing, where they were posted up. They've got a nice little high ground position here.
Oh, yeah. Just need to be careful about potential backstabs coming in, but I think they're safe and secure behind. I think most teams have rotated past that. I think 1 or 2 actually went north through Fragment as well, so a lot of interception likely to occur around in this area. Very confident in the way they're moving into the open ground. Spread wide as well. Can be a little bit risky, especially if there's another team camping over here. But it looks like Mythic, they're heading to their regular spot, maybe. We've seen them in this area countless times. There's always right where Teddy is heading. They love parking up here.
That's it. Mythic rotating their way in. A little backstab coming through, getting peppered. Hang on, this isn't looking good. Gold armor, now down to half HP.
The Franco-Brits are sending it. They're so close as well. It's not going to be hard to gap close here. They have got the black hole to work with, so they could look to intercept. They can prevent the third member from getting into the safe point. That should give them enough room to move in, but JC gets tapped out. Teddy says, no, no. No approach for free, sir. You get down.
Oh, spraying through. 3-on-1. Yeah, you don't want anything to do with that. JC being picked up as a priority.
I mean, it's tough, though. They've got micro drones on one, so it's all on AJ to try and make something happen here. He doesn't connect with his own micro drones, so they're going to go for a quick reset. Leave JC for the moment, try to get a pick because it looks like they're being poked and prodded by a third team here. Looks like nobody wants to be left out of this party. Tap's going to come through and it's UTFT just in time to farm more kills. Tax will find one, Teddy will finish off JC. Franco Brits are now down to one.
Clone, the Frenchman, has to do something special. Blacker will come through, double arc star as well. Just to try and cause a problem as best he can, but a shield back needs to come online for him. He's not exactly pretty. I need to make it as well if he wants any chance here.
And they see it perfectly. The beams come out. The 301 on point. Tax will take another. Franco Brits. It's all but a pipe dream for them now. They can't even come close to the top. UTFT continue to beat down on the entire lobby.
That is a fantastic laser beam as well. Franco Brits fall early. 6 squads remain alive. The UTFT looking in prime pole position for another #1 finish.
We've been here before. This time it isn't going to be the God spot, but it's a good point to rotate from. Exhibition had to come out quite early from their opponents. They know they're in the area, so we'll look to push this afterwards. But man, this Lifeline's been doing work. I've been impressed in the way they've played it, because it's not a legend that has been seen as desirable or viable in competitive for a long time. Wait, Wait, hold on. Did they just lose the Valk? What happened there? They just dropped straight down again.
Oh, no.
Oh, Mythic, no!
This is brutal. Mythic eliminated early means that they themselves might just about pip to second place, depending if Catjam can find some kills. I mean, Catjam were the side who, potentially, with Franco Bits out for the count, who are the only ones who could contest.
I genuinely think the Valk got tapped out because they were flying, right? They went for the skyward dive. And remember, folks, if you lose the Valk, if she gets knocked on the upward swing, you all just flop down. It looks quite clowny and it's quite unfortunate. I've even seen it in LGS finals. It's a pretty awkward situation to find yourself in. You just become clay pigeons waiting to be shot.
Oh, that's it. Well, fortunately, Tax will be back in play. Now, look what we see here. Murky rotating in. Actually, Murky might want to go aggressive on the back of that. Tax is very fortunate to just about stay alive, but might not be for much longer.
Yeah, it's getting a lot of damage, and that might save them for the moment. But Nizidia going down, that's the worst one they can lose. Remember, that is their lifeline. That would be a soft reset for free. And we'll look to get it back up. Zone is coming in, so this is going to be more than a mild tickling. And now the charge rifle tickling a bit harder here. We'll force the shield back out. I think they just need to crawl in. If they try this here, it might be a little bit dicey, and you can see Lifeline is close to just being gone. She does get tapped down in the end. Or sorry, she's going to revive. Tax. Somewhere to leave. Honestly, I think they have to wrap wide. I think they've got enough meds for it, but you just can't contest this front on.
UTFT are in a horrible scenario right now. I mean, Murky are just being a nuisance. But Jay will slay all four, so Murky are down to 2.
What? No way. No way. Kinder! He assaulted on his own. He couldn't do it. Tax is going to be taken out by Nick Bodge, but the fact that they turned that around on such low HP shows you how dominant UTFT are.
And the Rebels have all 3 still in play right now, and they're just going to play the med game. They know they can just play longevity. 5 squads remain alive, and they themselves need to prioritize the rotation here. They were in a horrible spot.
I love the fact they're using the golds for this as well. Just the cheap heals, so they're able to be active at all times, but they're going to have to be more active than this. Brush comes in, tap down, Nick Bod cleans up, Tax will make his way into the ring, but now he has to run for the high heels. It's no longer safe. There will be no more recoveries. UTFT are finally crippled and stopped.
Yeah, and I think now for UTFT and for Tax individually, it's about staying alive as much as he can. Murky have done a fantastic job there. The side on top, Coach and Moggs. They were unfortunate. They dropped early in towards that previous game. Now looking fantastic. Chet's hunting for a top 3 finish. There's 5 squads remaining.
Oh, but they did allow the final member to rotate. You know how it goes. Leave one left alive to tell the story. But that story is going to be one of nuisance right now, as that gives the space required for the low ground team to rotate out with the skyward dive.
Well, but now, I think that this advantage that Chet's hold in terms of the high ground will be instrumental to a lot of success for them. I think Chet's another side like Dream Chasers have been quite unlucky. Is probably the best way to put it in terms of how they've been performing today. I think they've actually been pretty decent. They've just got, unfortunately when it comes towards rotations or maybe not winning out their 1 versus 1s. Now round versus 3 to start momentarily.
Once again, lads, not really looking like the Preds in this situation.
Look at the loot.
Is it maybe the issue here is you're called Preds of the West, but every time we check on you, you're in the East. So
True.
I don't know if that's a problem, just unfamiliar territory here. But the crazy part is they could be the Predators. I think we saw, your favoritus was alone, and Kiefer's not that close by, so they could easily finish off Charge Noobs, who are at least sticking true to their name, no matter how few members they have, always with the charge rifles in hand.
Yeah, well, Kiefer, he was alone.
Does he think he's playing Warzone right now? I'm pretty sure he's just going for the 360 charge rifle scopes. Which...
I gotta respect it, actually. You know, if you're not gonna win it, make it interesting. Like the 360 charge is something. You saw a 360 missile swarm coming through as well. Not gonna find any success with it, but I rate it.
Yeah, I want the Mozambiquers. That's what we need. We need a team of those. Those things are vicious if you find someone to rush together, to be honest. Yeah,
to mention though, Murky have been eliminated. We're down to 4 squads now. Tax is still alone, but maybe not for much longer.
Oh, he's about to swallow sadness here. Shield cell's going to come out, but the backstab was there. No way he gets out of this. UTFT are going to go out and fight, but it really doesn't matter to them. They've done enough damage that no one can topple them from their throne.
Yeah, exactly that. Down to 3 squads now. Charles, there's only 2 left alive for them. Will make things very difficult when it comes towards the latter stages of this zone. You got to say, how things stand for Coach Moggs, Nick Bod, Chet, they're in a very strong position to potentially get a first place.
I actually love the fact that the final 3 teams are... I don't think we've seen any of these teams in the final 3, or at least not in a position to take it. So this is impressive. At least, at the end of the day, to turn up with someone different. It looks like your favorites and Kiefer are going to go over the top. They're ticking the timer down, though. It's a little bit dangerous being up here too long. Remember, we've still got the Preds from the west. Or the west in a decent location and not spotted. Not for long. Jets are moving in. They are the best equipped team here, and it's hard to bet against them with their position.
Little swarm will come through. Arc start to follow suit as well. Chet.
Nice.
They're just peppering the Marines and a black hole on top of it as well. That's fantastic. Joe Bear's going to fall. And the shield crack too.
They're going to chase after it as well. That cripple coming out from the initial missile swarm gave the follow-up, and what a maneuver from them. Coach moving in, will be intercepted maturely, so Shieldbat has to come out, but with 2 knocked already, and the 3rd one in full retreat, they'll feel confident about this. Charge rifle on the high ground is going to be a nuisance, but now it's a 2v1v3, and I don't think the 2 and the 1 are willing to work together here.
Yeah, I think you're probably absolutely spot on. This is a prime position for Jets to potentially get themselves a first place finisher. Coach will take a lovely little long-range spray there from the charge rifle. Keep it all alone.
No, yeah, it's not a 2v1v3. It's a 1v1v3 because Tess got stuck on the high ground.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. I think she got locked in one of the pockets and the timer ticked her out.
What a mess. What a mess.
A mess for Tess. Oy. Now, where's that other rat is what Keefer's thinking right now. He's looking up to 3 squads left.
Oh, look
when
at
are you going to help me?
Kieran Newsy did this last game as well. Just a great armor. I mean, fair play, Kieran Newsy. Playing the long game, and it actually might just about work.
Look at the positives here, Neo. If he kills Kiefer, a purple armor.
True. But, you know what, for Kira, I honestly think they'll just stay alive. They won't even show face at all until it's that final, 1 versus 3, and then they'll be like, all right, well, I may as well get this done and dusted with.
Yep. I mean, he knows exactly where they are as well, right? He can hear the shots coming off. They just need to wait. They're like, I'll take the top 2 finish. There's no way I'm going to take 3 on with 2 of them having reds and one of them also having a Re-45. Appropriately named because really this gun will make you re. It's actually vicious to deal with. And I'm talking about people who actually have shields, not whites.
Exactly. I mean, Kieran Uzi cannot show face if they want any chance of getting in towards that top 2. But, I mean, it's probably pretty safe to say that Chet's going to see this one out with a victory under their belt. It's more a question of, can they just see it out in a flawless manner, not give any kill points over the other way?
I don't know. I'm trying to like, you know how you run through the scenarios? I kind of feel like Doctor Strange right now. And I maybe, after running a million simulations, maybe 4 in which Chets don't come out ahead. This could be the beginning of one of them, though. Flying around the sky, not the best way to take a win if Kiefer is able to connect with all the charge rifle shots, but that's not going to be the case.
I mean, to be fair to Kiefer, at least making it, himself a bit of a nuisance, just trying to be a problem. He's taking quite significant damage.
You know what the sad part is? This pick by Test is the first time that I believe we've seen Rampart so far.
Oh, I think you are right, actually.
And the first time we see it, it gets stuck in the no-no zone and dies. So.
You really do. Hate to see that. You really, really do. Kiranuzi is my GOAT. Preds of the West looking for a second place finish off the back of an individual rat play.
Alright, here we go. Kiefer almost has red. Instead of getting red with that last 6 damage, it's time to fly and probably die. Because that is way too high in the sky. Okay, I'm not even trying to rhyme at this point. It's just coming out. He's going to go for the backstab. A little bit of time is being bought by Kira. But Preds of West are going to go out in third. So second place locked in. Best that they could hope for, as Chets are just going to full steamroll the final enemy in this lobby. Black hole thrown out. Follow-up will look good, because they have enough guns to squeeze this one out. Finally gets the red just in time to say farewell.
Brilliant.
Chets Esports will close out the day with a win, but UTFT will close out the day top of the overall leaderboards.
Yeah, quite a dominant showing there from Jets as well to see things off. We knew the inevitable was going to happen in a Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the ESL Premiership powered by Inter. We've finished up all 4 games today in our 4th and final. It's Chets who come out on top. A pretty dominant display from them, and credit to them, the way in which they compose themselves. It should rack up quite a lot of points on the leaderboard and potentially push them in towards a podium place.
Yeah, and of course UTFT will be at the top of that podium, no doubt. I mean, we
Sure.
said they needed a situation where they went out straight away, they killed nobody, and someone else fragged like 12 to 15 to make it feasible to knock them off that top spot. But I think they ended up fragging 5 or 6 themselves. They got I think it was a top 6, top 7 finish. They did go out. Finally, people had enough of being bullied around. Like, any playground bullies out there, take note of this situation, right? When you square off against everyone on a day-by-day basis, eventually they're going to rebel against you. Raw numbers can beat you.
Exactly. Spot on. I mean, for UTFT, you can see here, right, they were stuck in no man's land. And, you know, that's when you take credit to Chet's, right? They were so good in terms of adapting to the environment, adapting to what was happening. And when it was back to that kind of final zone, the final 3 teams, so 1 versus 1 versus 3, all Chet's had to do was play the numbers game. And that's all they did. 22 points for them with 10 kills under their belt is not too shabby. UTFT, despite dropping out in like 6th place, actually coming in at 2nd place with 16 points. And a large part of that is those 7 points from kills.
It is. And then Gang, I believe they're the 2 squad, right? They come in third. I mean, honestly, the interesting part about that final battle, for anyone who's like, why was Chet's being so frigid? Why didn't they want to fight? Keep in mind that we knew that Rampart had died out of map.
Yeah.
They didn't. They might have seen the count towards the end. They're like, okay, the numbers make sense now. It's 1-1. But at first, they probably were paranoid. So I like the fact that Chets were not being cocky. They clearly had the best loot. They clearly were in the lead, but they played the ring and they took their time.
Yeah, I mean, Jets, as we mentioned, you know, calm, composed. They made things work for them. And take a look at today's standing, and UTFT, talk about dominance, Pigeon. Look at that, 74 points from them. And in the grand scheme, I'd say, consistency across the board.
Yeah, they just come in and say, call me daddy, almost doubling up 2nd place there. Franco-British finishing 40th. Look how tight it got as well. Mythic still hold on to 3rd, but Chets, our winners on map number 4, come in 4th place, 30 points to pip Cat Jam down 1. And I mean, from there, you can see how tight it remained. You know, there's a lot of competition. Rough day for August has got to be said. Man, I feel like, to be fair to them, you know, while these guys probably weren't seen as a front runner, I feel like they were often the doormat to one of the top 3 teams. So kind of makes sense why they got so little points.
Yeah, I really do feel them. Do you know what? I actually feel for Dream Chasers. They got a DC 2 times. They rotated into UFT. I mean, you really just have to kind of, you know, feel for them. I think for Dream Chasers, they didn't actually play it too badly. They just got quite unfortunate in the grand scheme of things. But credit to Chets as well, right? I mean, they did a fantastic job in kind of recouping the losses of the previous. I mean, because it wasn't a great start by any means for Chets. They were a little bit overzealous, a little bit overconfident, and it was very costly. But they composed themselves. The kind of the mental morale that they were able to turn around led them to at least climb themselves in towards that kind of upper echelon. But it is top heavy, to say the least, of today's action. And for UTFT as well, 2nd place yesterday, 1st today. I mean, this kind of Prem is their oyster.
I mean, it's crazy, right? They've got 4 wins total. Actually, like looking at the overall standings, I was just checking through them. Murky are still in 2nd place despite a rough day, right? They got 1 win. They're 81 points. UTFT are now about 129. Then Franco-British Union are 3rd with 79. Mythic and 75. And then you dilute it. It's 25 points until you go down to Gang. Like, sorry, guys. If you want to be talked about in the broadcast, you need to slap some more points on there. Because right now, the highlight is UTFT and who gets to be their sidekick.
Exactly that. Well, precisely. Well, for now, of course, that does conclude all of today's action. It has been a jam-packed day of Apex, I've got to be said. And a credit as well to UTFT for just rising above the rest. Skeleton, mate, thank you very much for joining me. It's been an absolute pleasure to commentate alongside you. For now, we kind of bid farewell. So thank you, everybody at home, for watching. It's been an absolute pleasure. Massive thank you to our sponsors as well. Without them, none of this would be possible. So that, of course, is Intel, Aegon by AOC, and Logitech. They have been an absolute pleasure. And thank you to the wonderful ESL production team as well. For now, we bid you all farewell, and we see you all same time, same place next week. See you soon.